of children are forgotten in the backseat of a car by a parent or caregiver. All never thought it could happen to them. But with changes in routines, distractions, or a sleeping child, it can happen to anyone. Parked cars get hot, fast, and can be deadly. So get it in your head.
Check the backseat.
A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Tickets for less. Best seats, best prices, no service fees. Shop ticketsforless.com. KOZN Bellevue, Omaha, Council Bluffs. This is 1620 The Zone.
A crossover is
crossover dribble.
Sing for the crossover.
Kyrie Irving, crossover in the lane. One of the most famous crossovers of all time.
Behind the back, an ankle breaker on Chris Paul.
Crossover.
The crossover continues to evolve.
Crossover is brought to you by Everlow Concrete Repair in Omaha at everlowconcrete.com. Timing is everything.
Josh, thank you for not turning the mic on earlier.
I got my guys' backs.
Good.
I gotta process that.
Good. It's great to see all you guys back in studio.
Oh, I know.
We were here yesterday.
We were.
That is
true. I listened to you guys. I was in my car.
Appreciate that.
Yeah.
I started 10 o'clock hour rolls around. I just started taking breaks. I didn't know what to do.
Did you take a hydration break too?
I just started taking breaks.
Yeah.
I was like, what how many breaks we got in this show? 20?
Yeah.
No.
Josh, where's the reads?
You got to talk more, Connor.
Zen water.
Hey, so didn't it seem like this went quick?
It did.
Because a week ago, at this time, we were down at the baseball village.
I was probably talking to Scott Forbes right around this time last week.
It's true.
Great guy. Great guy.
They all seemed really good.
They were. It's tough. So like doing the first 8 games, that is still in the time where everyone is still very excited to be here. And It's like, yeah, I know we lost a game, but man, I just love it here. This is so great. If you win a game and then if you win 2 and you advance into that 10, 11, 12 range, then you're like, all right, I like it here. It's great, but I'm trying to win a championship. Like we got baseball to talk about here. So yeah, it's a good mix when we get around that point. But yes, we've arrived at the end. And I think we got the 2 right teams, by the way.
Yep.
I think it'll be a great series, 2 of the best teams all year. Now let's talk about celebrities that are going to be here. More likely that John Bishop would interview Morgan Wallen or Clay Travis.
Is Morgan Wallen making a trip?
So this has been the murmurs have been because he's got a hole in his schedule. He's in Minneapolis last night and tonight.
That's close.
That he could be in Omaha for the College World Series. He's a diehard Tennessee guy.
Seems very likely.
Now, Clay Travis, I announced today on his show or whatever that he's coming.
Okay. Is he doing a show? Does he do shows?
I don't know. I mean,
I don't know what he does.
Does he just do Rush takes? Limbaugh show.
He's the Rush Limbaugh show.
Yes, I mean, so
that's right.
There are
now,
shows.
Before Clay, I was telling Nick this off air. Before Clay became Clay, he was Mr. College Football.
Mm-hmm.
He actually would come on 1620 a bit, and there was no politics. He was just talking about college. Football.
he would make
because he's a diehard college football.
He
fan.
He is.
But then once Outkick started to grow, he didn't have time for a 1620.
He found his lane.
What's Omaha's balcony situation if Morgan Wallen shows up?
Well,
we got chairs.
Like, have you been to the top of the Blatt?
Yeah, keep more than Blatt.
Oh yeah.
There's no chairs up there.
Could there be?
Everybody's standing up there. You should just grab a chair and
you guys are throwing bouncy balls off the
Blatt?
Watch this.
There were the bouncy balls when I left Friday. I was telling the guys about that. All of a sudden, you remember those little tiny bouncy balls? Someone just started throwing them from the Blatt, and all of a sudden, kids were just all over the place scrambling and trying to get them. It was like I don't even know what the hell I was walking through.
You know this. There weren't as many team-related celebrities this year.
I don't think so.
Right.
Not big ones.
Like basketball or football coaches were not here.
A lot of guys a lot of people just try to keep it quiet these days.
That's not
going to stop us from finding you, Eric Church.
No. But there is the awkwardness. Has Connor, Josh, explained to you how you try and find these people. You hide the microphone on the suite level.
Yeah, it's a little odd.
And everybody's door is open. Because you have the waiters and
okay.
waitresses that are coming in and out of there.
Yeah, and so you could just go in and then you survey the land, and then they're like, eventually after 5 minutes, somebody's like, "Can I help you?"
As you awkwardly stand in the back.
Yeah. And in the case of Trev Alberts, it was Angie Alberts. It's like, "You guys looking for?" It's like, "Yeah, I think."
You're like, "Oh, you know who we're looking for. you know why we're here.
You know why we're here."
Yeah.
But the DeSantis one was really, really funny. We didn't try to get DeSantis, by the way.
I just want to know if you made him laugh. I know you couldn't tell.
I don't know
he was
what
behind you,
he
right?
was emoting at the time, but we walked in there. He had some security guys outside of his suite, and I talked to one of those guys because they looked like they were not going to let anybody in. I talked to those guys, and I was like, "Hey, we're just trying to talk to JD Drew," because he was in the same suite, and they were like, "Oh, that's fine. Our guy's in there." I'm like, interesting. Who's your guy? And he happened to be sitting right behind JD Drew while we did that little bit on whatever night that was. All the nights roll together. That was fun. Church was great. He was super. He was super into it. His guys, his people that were with him were probably less enthused about it, but Eric himself was like, "Yeah, got no problem. Let's do it. Whatever." We got him to do some play-by-play. Gary was extremely excited during that period of time.
Do you think Morgan Wallen would do it?
Yeah, I do. I do.
Yeah.
I do. So, by the way,
he's a big baseball fan. He's got the Braves song.
Yeah.
He's there to be seen.
Did you ever make contact with our North Carolina connection?
Yeah, he did. I think if they would have made it to the championship series, he would have come back.
But did Adam reach out to you? And because I felt he reached out to me from North Carolina. Adam from North Carolina. He was like, "Was that Gary who was all jazzed up about the Chief?" And I was like, "Yeah, that was him." I thought he was going to bring you something or something like that. Never did.
I mean, if they, North Carolina continue to win,
maybe,
but that was on them.
Sad. You would have been the person to get some Eric Church memorabilia. I want to know where to get his necklace, his gigantic necklace. He had a gigantic chain on with a North Carolina spinner on it.
I saw that. Yeah, that looked pretty legit.
Channel 3 Sean says some security guys. Yeah, those are called state troopers. No, they were not. No, they were commonly dressed. Commonly dressed.
Yeah.
They're trying to blend in a little bit.
They were not even state troopers. So after the incident between Texas A&M and Florida, they brought a campus police officer from Gainesville up that hung out near the Florida dugout after their game on Saturday.
Yeah, that was a mess. That was a mess.
Jack Caglione has to have that type of security detail.
People kept coming up to me like, "Did you see what happened there?" I'm like, "Yeah, I was like right in the middle of it." I did not like it. I keep telling people, if that would have gone on 5 to 10 more seconds, somebody's going over the rail, and
Brandon Neely is probably up in the stands.
Yeah, we got an official situation on our hands. So that was diffused well by a few of our local people, and they got them all out of there, and everything. Only feelings were hurt, I think.
And they walked across the street, and people were buying them shots. Yeah, they're like, "Hey, I just saw you on TV."
So they figured. I think they figured out where they were not. I was worried that they were. I was worried that they were Nebraskans. They were not.
No.
They were from Texas.
Who's the security officer it's always down there? You guys introduced me to him last year. He's always that main guy. Almost in a way, kind of looks like Matt Rhule.
Bren.
Okay, yeah. I when I saw it on TV and when they actually showed it, he was the first person I saw. I'm like, "Hey,
don't mess with him."
Remember that
guy?
Josh and I were talking after it happened on Saturday night. I was really surprised that ESPN put a camera on it.
Yeah.
They got the whole thing on,
and it wasn't
live
just
on
brief.
air.
Well, it was hard to.
It
was hard to ignore it. Like they're like, "What is going on down there?" And they got the guy with the floating ESPN camera, who's got his little dog. I mean, he's got the whole setup. He was right there. I mean, he was right in the middle of it. So you had to take the shot.
Yeah, but if somebody ran on the field with a torch,
they wouldn't show
guy
him
on camera.
I guess not. But I mean,
I don't know if they knew what was happening, because there's always the whole, like, if someone gets on the field, then you're not going to show that. You know that. But I think they just knew something was going on in the dugout, and they didn't realize that it was maybe straight up fans heckling.
This had been brewing for several minutes before that.
Okay.
And so they were gonna get run from the stadium.
We were almost gonna get a malice at the Palace.
And then they came down and got their last licks in.
All right.
This is too long to be a poll question, but I got a great one that is a good summertime kickoff. Would you rather?
Oh,
okay.
I like
this
it.
is
Would
this
you
is
rathers.
involves Nebraska. Would you rather have Nebraska football go 10-2, beat Iowa by 3 touchdowns, beat Wisconsin,
This sounds good.
win the Big Ten,
Well, 10-2, winning the Big Ten.
but lose in the playoff by a field goal in your opening game,
Yep.
or Nebraska men's basketball win 30 games,
Jesus.
win the Big Ten,
Are you
and
kidding
go
me?
to the Final Four.
The former.
Ooh.
The former.
The football one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
football definitely, but man, the Nebraska Final Four appearance would be pretty special.
for a school that is not a basketball school
Okay,
to
but
win
are we-
30 games.
Are we saying that is all happening like this year in the context?
Yes.
Okay. So here's the case.
30 games you win in basketball, you go to the Final Four in a program.
How would that be
in a
viewed?
sport?
How would that be viewed? How would Nebraska making a run to the Final Four be viewed? It would be
A good story.
it would be. Oh, this is incredible! What
Yeah,
a great
it'd be a
run!
good story.
No, it'd be the greatest accomplishment in the history of Nebraska basketball.
Obviously,
Bar
Well,
none.
yeah.
But
Well, yeah.
that's obvious.
It'd
It
be a
would
good
be that
story,
when they
though.
won their first game of the NCAA tournament.
That's true too.
Okay,
But
so
like
we
you
know
would just be like, oh, that was such a fun team. It doesn't mean anything for the future of the program, although it might. But for Nebraska football, it'd be
At
like
the
they're
time,
10-2. They won the Big Ten
Okay,
championship.
yeah.
Is this-
They are back.
They're
is this
back,
a
yeah.
Jasker preference?
Definitely, but I am a Jasker, so this is my point of view.
Okay, but this is a little bit different because we know football runs the world. And so to be successful in that sport, when you have been successful a ways back in that sport,
Yeah.
would be pretty cool. But I don't think it could top 30 wins, win the Big Ten, and go to the Final Four in a sport in which you have never even won an NCAA game.
It would be
Nothing in
it would be
basketball.
it would be a lot to comprehend.
I mean,
nothing
it
in
really would.
basketball could top
if
it.
by chance Nebraska athletics in the same year had those two sports do that, there'd be a lot of people like, you know what, now just do my ashes in the stadium.
Yeah,
I've seen enough.
Set up that columbarium.
the columbarium.
Yeah.
Put it up. Put it up. Put it outside. The
Why
Pinnacle
not?
Bank Arena,
Hornburg
too.
writes in. Give me the Final Four. I expect Dylon and the team will get better next year. The Final Four thing legitimately might never happen again.
That's a good take, though.
It would be.
Yeah, it's the football.
Because
one
remember,
for
I
me.
threw in 30 wins as well.
Yeah.
So all of this is like, what the heck is
You'd be a
going
one
on?
seed. You'd
So,
be like
yeah.
the best
Well, yeah,
team in
you-
college
you would be
You'd be
one
basketball.
going to the Final Four.
Yeah, you would be close to
So, but if you
what
win 30 games,
2012 Kentucky pulled off.
if you win 30 games, then you get to the NCAA tournament as a one seed. It would almost be expected.
Oh, you're right, though. Yeah. If you're a one seed and anything less than a Final Four appearance, like, well, you were a one seed and you couldn't even make it to the second.
This was your
weekend.
one chance ever to win the national championship, and you blew it. Congrats. Another
on the hot
pain
seat.
point in Nebraska basketball history.
They lose to a 16.
That's how I would look at it as.
Still can't get that. They can get the one seed, but they can't get a tournament victory.
Think
Or
about
the
next.
third team to lose to a 16.
Think about next offseason if Nebraska makes the playoff this year. Think about next offseason.
Like,
Think about hosting a playoff game.
Yes. I mean,
well, and
Matt Rhule
I
would-
guess they won the Big
I'm
Ten.
with
They
you
would.
Matt
because
Rhule
I
would be a
said-
top 5 coach in college
I
football.
said whatever good and bad they do in 24 is what sets you up for 25. So if that happened this year,
yeah.
I mean 25, I'd be fully.
That
hustled.
is
Yeah, it would
that
be-
is
I would
ground.
say.
I wouldn't open doors with my hands.
That is ground that you're standing on, right?
Yes.
For basketball, they won 30 games. It's great. It's an awesome story. It is a hell of a run. But I don't know that anybody's like, hey, look, Nebraska basketball is the next powerhouse of the sport.
It would
Maybe
be,
they would, though. Maybe they would.
It would be a hell of a ride,
It'd be a
and-
hell of a
and-
ride.
and Kent would be. Kent would have to pace himself.
Would you trade
that
one
season.
ride for long sustained success?
What would those broadcasts sound like if Nebraska was 30-win team in a?
I'd be
moment.
so happy for him, but
Oh, it would
I
be.
would hope that his I hope that his cardiologist would
Yeah.
be president.
Yeah. They got those little the heart rate monitors on the watch.
Yeah, you'd have to put one on Kent.
You would.
Yeah.
You'd have to put one on Kent.
Yeah.
For sure.
Like this is okay. Now this is getting real.
I think in our lifetime, Nebraska football will host a playoff game at Memorial Stadium.
Hello.
In our lifetime? I don't think
In our
that's crazy.
lifetime.
Yeah, I don't think that's crazy.
Yeah, that's not sure.
Well, but you think about there's a lot of competition.
Yeah, there's.
But
And,
that
you know,
means,
I mean,
but
and if Nebraska
hosting a
football
playoff
is-
game is easy.
If Nebraska football is going where we all think they are, I mean, 5, 6 seed, nah,
What about?
top 4.
I was going to say,
Well, if you win the Big Ten,
like, what if they're a bye team?
that would suck.
Will they be
so
a bye
that's
team?
what, that's
That'll be
what
like
I
1
keep
year.
going back to. Okay, if I
It would
if
suck
I
to
am
have a
so
bye.
good,
No, but it sucked that you make the playoff.
No.
You don't get to host at the Memorial
okay,
Stadium.
let's say Ohio State has a chance to be one of those 4 teams, right?
Yeah.
So they're going to get a bye. Don't you think Ohio State University would love to host a
Oh,
playoff
yeah.
game? Why do they have to go play in a neutral site against a team that's already played?
Yep.
Probably a home game.
Mm-hmm.
No, thank you. We'd like to go to the Rose Bowl.
I would like to play in
Have you seen the
I'd like to
sunset?
play in the Horseshoe in the middle of December. We
Right.
earn the right to play at home, but
Yep.
instead we're shipped out to go play a
It's
neutral
great.
site game.
I got an answer for you because in 2 years it'll be a 16-team playoff, and you won't have to worry about any of it.
Which
That is true.
did someone make a mistake yesterday and say something out loud that is not supposed to be said out loud about 17 games?
Oh,
Yeah. Absolutely.
Do you thi-
Absolutely.
do you think that after that presser was over, someone said, what you mentioned about 17 games that was mentioned?
Where are you getting that math?
It's not really public yet, Matt.
So you're going to get a call from Chicago and they're going to slap you on the wrist, but I don't think you were supposed to
Yeah.
say that out loud.
You're going to want to pick up that 312 area code that calls you.
Yeah, I think he might have just slipped and basically said, I hope you enjoyed the 12-team playoff because we're going to add another game.
Yeah.
Because I don't think he was intimating that they would add a regular season game.
Right.
I don't know that that's uncommon knowledge.
No,
Like,
but
it's-
he said it kind of.
he said it with certain terms.
Yeah, he was like pretty confident.
Yeah.
17 games.
Johnny mails in.
Hi, John.
I care so little about basketball, I wouldn't even watch Nebraska play in a Final Four game.
Yeah, you would.
Oh, get out of
Yeah,
here.
you would. Stop that. Yes, you would.
There's no
Come
way.
on. Oh, Nebraska's in the Final Four. I'm a big football fan. Yeah, I'm not going to watch that. Come on.
No, thank you.
And I don't even care about Creighton, but I only care about football.
Yeah. I don't care that they're in the
I love
Is
Final
Will
Four.
Bolt still coaching Husker hoops?
I guess so.
Whatever happened to that knee guy? Where did he go?
VJ says Nebraska football in the playoff, no question. Nebraska would heal. Basketball would be insanely fun, much like the 3 College World Series appearances.
It would be. It would just be it'd be considered at least a one-off,
But
fun,
to the point-
random appearance in season.
To the point of the College World Series appearances, I mean, nobody at the time viewed that as like, hey, we're just happy to like we thought
Yeah.
that Nebraska would be
This is the
a
start of
baseball
something.
powerhouse,
Yeah,
for
Yeah.
years and years to come. So, I mean, maybe we'd get tricked into that.
And I want to play the what if game.
If Dave Van Horn
I
stays.
think if Dave Van Horn was still here and they put back to back and they were on a roll, that they would have come pretty close to playing for a national title.
Mhm.
in the
I mean, look at-
years following
essentially-
05, yeah.
Essentially, that 05 team was his team.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, majority of those guys were guys that he
Oh, yeah,
recruited.
totally.
So that maybe there would have been an addition or two.
Oh, they could have won a national title in 05.
Yeah, that 05 team was really, really
Yeah,
good.
they could have won a national title in 05 for sure. So they would have probably put something together in the years following that. But as we know, Dave Van Horn would not. There's no scenario in which Dave Van Horn stays past 2011 because they go to the Big Ten.
Well, yeah,
and
that would have
that's
been.
not happening.
But if he would have, he would have stayed if they would have made it past the Arkansas interest, and he said no to Arkansas, he would have been a Nebraska guy for life.
Yeah.
Until they said, "Hey, Dave,
we're going to the Big Ten.
we're going to the Big Ten."
yeah. Then he would have been out.
I mean, if you can win here, just think what you can do in the Big Ten.
So on that note, you may have caught wind of this with the Florida State people. So it has kind of been discussed that Florida State and the Big Ten are going to get together.
They are, yeah. That would be the team that would most likely come in with Notre Dame.
Hello.
So the Florida State people that I talked to say SEC or get this, Big 12.
Big 12.
Now, can you imagine Florida State baseball would die in the Big Ten.
Correct.
Yes.
Yep. Oh, 100%.
Lake Jarrett would leave immediately.
Like, nope.
A
Sorry.
proud program that now has been 24 trips to Omaha and 0 dog piles.
Ohio State has infinity money. They lost their head coach to an assistant job at TCU this week. So that tells you what you need to know.
Mark Reardon was the runner-up for the Ohio State job.
Hello.
Nice.
So he's staying at Western Kentucky. Former
Hilltoppers.
Iowa Western.
Former Reaver.
The Reavers?
I mean,
3 times.
imagine explaining to Link Jarrett that we are going to the Big Ten.
Yeah.
Do you think? Okay, so there's no world in which
they're up and
baseball.
coming. They've got Oregon now.
So let's go back to the Van Horn thing. If we're doing what ifs, like, what if they go to Dave Van Horn and is like, hey, we got this idea. We're going to go to the Big Ten. I think it would obviously be really, really bad for you, but like, give me the case that we shouldn't go to the Big Ten. Like, should we?
I will
right.
get my own regional league.
Would the
Yeah.
success of baseball, if he had stayed through that time, given them second thought on going to that conference
No.
at that moment?
No. Absolutely not.
I hate this conference.
You know what's so weird? Okay, you know when you walk by on your way to the baseball village and they have all the pennants of the teams that have won the certain amount of College World Series? I saw this happen multiple times. People were stopping and looking at, who all won College World Series? People were just in awe of USC.
I know.
And seeing all
Like,
of the years that they were like, man, USC is a powerhouse. I'm like, not so
they're in the
much
Big
anymore.
Ten now.
Yeah, that's Big Ten. Oregon. Come on, UCLA. Come on.
Those are our titles.
Sorry,
Yep.
guys. Yep. Your programs are dead now.
A lot different now.
Congratulations.
Welcome.
Welcome to the suck.
Well, exactly.
So because
Indiana,
of
Michigan did
money and passion, which they have in the SEC. I mean, we haven't really discussed where West Coast baseball has gone.
That's a good point.
I mean, you could walk by those pennants and
They're
it's
too little.
USC, Cal State Fullerton.
Yeah, Pepperdine. Well, I guess did Pepperdine win it?
No,
they did win
You
it.
can't win. You can't win a national championship. You can't even get to the dance, the College World Series with the size of players that they have on the West Coast anymore.
Those
Like,
soy boys.
you can't.
bunting.
You can't do like.
It's too much
You can't win a
bunting.
championship with a bunch of shortstops who are.
But shortstops, button playing small ball.
Yeah,
Yeah.
playing defense.
Mhm.
No, you can't.
Look
at these dudes.
So I think
These
this
guys are
also
monsters.
factors
They got a
in.
bunch of football players
They
on
do.
their teams.
That is
Hitting
true.
dongers.
I was talking about the state of college baseball at a place like Texas A&M, and this person I was talking to, another gentleman to my right, he chimed in and he said, "College baseball at Texas A&M is our number 2 sport, and it will always be number 2."
God, it's beautiful.
Wow.
He
That is
said
great.
because in the South, college baseball is a culture, and he goes, "We're not alone. There are other schools in the SEC where baseball is their second most popular sport."
Look at Kentucky.
Yeah.
Look at what Kentucky put together.
Okay, so that's and you're right. They're on the come. Could baseball at Kentucky be the number 2 sport?
No, but that doesn't
because-
mean
Yeah, because
but
it's always going to be basketball,
they
football.
have, by their environment, they have been forced into success.
Yeah.
They had to pay. They had to
Yeah,
spend the money.
yeah, they're more of a product of the other two
Okay,
sports, and finally
so-
football clicking a little bit there too.
So let's go back to the Van Horn College World Series. Football always be number 1. It has to be number 1 in Nebraska. Was baseball in that short amount
Yes.
of time the number 2 sport in
Yes.
Nebraska?
Yeah.
Yes.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yes.
Was it coincided with Nee leaving, Collier coming in?
Undoubtedly. Right?
I don't think there's any.
I mean,
debate.
it still probably would be today if they had more sustained success.
Yeah. I mean, if they were,
if it's
if they were,
sustained,
if they
yeah,
were making,
okay. I can
if they were
entertain
making
that.
periodic trips to Omaha,
Yeah.
yes,
yeah.
yeah.
If they're hosting on occasion, maybe not
But
so
they,
much.
they won the conference in 19. They got to that deep into the regional in 21. They almost won the conference and won the tournament this year. Like there was a real fever for it. Like people were like, how do we get to Omaha? Like
Yeah.
that would absolutely come back if they would do that every year. Then people would want more, and then they would invest more, and then it would be this like cycle of you continue to have success, and so you keep pouring money into it. That's what all the SEC teams have done. It's not that hard.
Then we'd be playing baseball in Memorial Stadium.
Oh,
Hey.
instead of softball.
Hey.
Yeah.
They played They played baseball at the old Memorial Coliseum in L.A.
They did. It was like
It's-
200 feet down the left field line,
Yeah,
wasn't it?
Yeah.
They built the big,
It's a launching
big tall
pad.
screen.
Yeah.
All right,
That's
Doug,
the future home of the Big Ten baseball tournament. The
That's
LA
right. Yeah,
Coliseum.
they got to try it out. Yeah.
Doug brings this up. He goes, after Florida State and another team is added, the Big Ten will push to move the baseball season back to create revenue. It will happen because the small Sunbelt teams need that to happen as well. But what if the SEC says, no, we're not moving?
Yeah, we're fine. We like where we're at. We like where everything is.
Why would the SEC even entertain that idea?
They wouldn't.
Yeah, that would be the stupidest thing that they
Yeah.
could possibly do.
I don't think they would.
But
There's a reason
But
why.
wherever Florida State is going, everybody I talked to that would kind of have their ear to the ground and know and maybe have been in a meeting, they all said, yeah, we're going blank.
Somewhere.
Yes.
We're going somewhere. We can't live like this. It can't be this big of a gap.
Gosh, that would, for baseball,
Not here.
that was just too bad.
I think I believe that their preference would be to the SEC.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. But maybe they get caught up in it.
This is what, so, Greg Sankey's in town, and so there'll be a lot of SEC love.
I didn't bump into him this week. Should I text him?
I don't think he's coming in until this weekend.
They gave me his number 2 years ago. I've always thought about texting him some stuff.
Just random.
Hey, I got
Greg,
a couple things for you.
Greg, you up?
Yeah.
You should just text him off the wall stuff.
Yeah.
Like, hey, are you doing Wordle today? Hey, man, look out that one on the immaculate grid. Okay, does it worry you guys? Maybe not worry is the right
Placido
word.
Polanco. That's bottom right.
That the SEC, when it comes to names being attached to them in expansion, is really quiet.
They don't.
Yeah, it always does.
They don't.
He doesn't ever show his cards.
No, he doesn't.
Yeah.
He
No.
doesn't. So the more calm that is in the outside noise in other conferences,
They-
you're like,
they wouldn't
okay,
have-
so what's the SEC up to?
They
here?
wouldn't have done anything if Oklahoma and Texas hadn't fallen into their laps. They wouldn't have done anything. So once again, we have to blame Oklahoma and Texas for this entire thing.
Texas
Here,
wins.
now that we're playing this fantasy realignment, what if I gave you this scenario? So Texas is joining the SEC. Texas A&M loses their advantage of being the SEC school in Texas. Texas has success. Texas A&M has success, but they don't like sharing the spotlight with Texas.
What are you talking about? Athletic department
Yes,
wide here?
Yeah.
Okay.
What if Texas A&M goes looking somewhere else and they look at the Big Ten?
Yeah.
Big Ten.
That'd be awesome.
They would have an athletic director that could really navigate his way into a conference of familiarity. too.
I would welcome them with open arms.
I would too.
Come on up.
Let's get a Texas little flavor.
Texas
in the Big
Texas
Ten.
A&M and Florida State.
In the Big Ten.
The new Big Ten
Oh,
teams.
think about
Ooh,
that.
that'd be fun.
Now,
now
baseball,
the
Games we can
baseball.
drive to on the weekends.
Now, when we talk about baseball, the power that those two bring in baseball
Yep.
and their experience of what the money that they have put into those programs over the last several years,
Mhm.
would that finally get to move the needle in the conference?
As far as baseball?
I don't know.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah, because I feel like if you had two more heavy hitters,
It would
Yeah.
obviously help.
but
Nebraska.
remember, the landscape is changing where you got to come up with money for
sure.
revenue sharing.
Yeah.
There's going to be some sports that some places where, how are we supposed to do baseball at Purdue? We tried to
Right.
put money in the program, but our freshman of the year in the Big Ten this year just jumped into the portal because we can't afford him.
Yeah.
Mhm.
These are all very good concerns when it comes to especially programs like that thought that they were keeping up with in the arms race with facilities like Northwestern. I don't think there's probably a heavy emphasis on Northwestern baseball, but they did improve their facility. So they're thinking, all right, we did what we're supposed to do to support baseball and show that we care. Now you're asked to not only do that, but also pay. And there's no guarantee that you're going to keep your best players intact. For programs like that, it's a big problem because you think you did do right by your baseball program and showing support.
So
Price
11
of doing business.
This is the stat I mentioned the other night. So 11 of the public schools in the SEC pay their head coach $1 million or more.
Mhm.
And oh, by the way, Texas and Oklahoma are coming in and they're not included in that.
So it's going to be 13. I don't know what.
12, maybe. I don't know if the guy at Oklahoma.
I don't know.
you
Skip makes a milli.
And by the way, Texas
$1 million.
A&M is dropping $80 million into their facility.
Yep.
Right.
It was funny going through my College World Series prep with all those SEC teams. like all of their stadiums have been renovated within the last probably dozen years, and most of them were either currently undergoing renovations or going to do it again.
And it wasn't just replacing the turf.
Yeah, no. I mean, Tennessee just did a big one. Texas A&M's in the process.
But
of
I'm
one
not.
right now.
But so this weekend, again, 2 SEC teams playing. I'm not fatigued though.
Skip Johnson does not make $1 million.
I'm not either.
I'm not fatigued that we have 2 SEC teams playing.
No, because
college baseball
I think that's it's so much more of a football conversation than it is with baseball. I truly feel that way.
Sorry, what was your point? You're not mad at it?
I'm not like for baseball. I'm like I'm okay with it.
Oh, absolutely.
Like in college football, we lose our mind and we try and change the rules.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, as long
and
as
we have fatigue and we're like, screw
exactly.
you. It seems like in baseball, maybe because of the passion and it's so regionalized, we're like, you know what? Hey, we get 2 good teams playing.
Here's what we haven't had in that sport. While it's been SEC dominant, there hasn't been one banner carrying team to win national championships every year. Could Tennessee be that team? Because they have all the money and the resources in the world to be able to keep what they have. Their coaches, like they're going to get every transfer they want.
Yeah.
Like, could they be a team that is in this spot every single
year? They
year?
could be. And if to your point,
we haven't seen that in baseball in a long time.
If you start seeing Tennessee in the championship series year in and year out, and they're winning most of those, like the closest thing I can think of to that recently would have been Vanderbilt.
Yes.
And that got old. Yeah. I will admit that did get a little bit old. Like, okay, whoever Vanderbilt was playing, I didn't care who it was. I was always rooting for that team.
And they're in, home runs, gorilla ball is Tennessee's fit perfectly for it.
I know it is. I think we did a really good job, all of us on the broadcast, of pointing out the gorilla ball era where LSU hit 188 home runs in 70 or 97. Tennessee isn't very far off.
Oh, they were 20 below it going into the going into the College World Series.
So my big thing at the beginning of this was, Florida hit 17 home runs in the World Series last year, and I thought that Tennessee would go over that. I don't know what they're at right now. I should look that up actually.
I think the pace slowed down after the opening night.
Yeah, let's see.
They hit a couple against the other Florida State.
I don't. How would I get the number? Let's see. Anyway, sorry. Continue on.
No, I was going to let you guys get on the show.
Okay, yeah.
Donald Sutherland, best role, Josh?
Animal House.
Beer Fest.
That is a good one. Beer Fest.
Body Snatchers was pretty good.
Forgot about Beer Fest.
What is it, Grandpapa?
You look at his page, he has some incredible roles.
Yeah. He was good in JFK. Did you guys ever see Without Limits, the Steve Prefontaine?
Yep.
As Bowerman, he was awesome.
Ordinary People.
Yep.
I mean,
yeah, he's been in some good ones.
My aunt-in-law was in that movie with him.
What?
Really?
Yeah.
No kidding.
Do tell.
I don't know much more than that.
Okay. That's really cool, though.
Yeah.
I got to admit, the picture that Kiefer Sutherland sent out this morning, and Kiefer is a baby, and you could, he looks exactly like Kiefer, too. That was sad, man.
He was one of those guys that felt he definitely enhanced every role he was in.
Yeah.
But in Animal House,
that is
pretty good.
That's a good call. Yeah.
Tennessee's only hit 5 home runs in this World Series, by the way.
It's not that many.
Some gorilla ball.
Yeah.
Jack Caglione almost did that by himself.
In one game.
Jack Caglione
never pitch again. Thanks.
Hits the home run on
That's
Wednesday. A smart Omahan got the home run ball, and they negotiated on an exchange.
Hello.
So these were the 2 requests. One, they wanted batting gloves, so Caglione was going to give him their batting gloves, and then Caglione said, "What if I signed them?" So he signed his batting gloves. Then the next request is they wanted him to take a picture with his kids, and so he said, "Certainly." So he stands there, and this guy who is from Omaha got the home run ball. His kids took a picture with Caglione.
Oh,
that's all he wanted.
That's a great trade.
Yeah,
it's a great
Caglione
trade.
Got the
I
home
want
run
some
ball.
of that NIL Jack too.
His last home run hit as a Gator.
Yeah,
it's a great trade. It's 75 home runs.
And he played, and he didn't start playing until halfway through his freshman year.
Yeah.
I would like to draft
machine.
Jack Caglione and tell him to never pitch again.
Yeah,
just go hit.
I love
the control's a little erratic.
Nick Grimm the other night was breaking down if the Rockies are going to get him at 3.
He'll be there at 3.
He will.
He'll be there at 3.
They'll have a choice to
I
make.
love it.
Now there you go,
Grimm's
and
into
then have him take his metal bat with him, and then he could hit 600-foot dongs at Forest Field.
Yep.
might be coming to you next summer.
Yeah.
Somewhere around there.
All right. Have a good Friday show. It's great to see everybody back in the studio. Then we all get to go back to Omaha Baseball Village.
So you're there tomorrow. Me and Nick are there on Sunday.
Yeah.
And then we'll see what happens on
Are you
Monday.
there all weekend, Josh?
I am.
Look forward to seeing you.
The Village people.
How were the DEA
Village people? Yeah.
How were the what?
DEA people?
Oh, great.
Fantastic.
Thirsty and great.
Yeah.
Always friendly. If there was a youngster around, they always came over and tried to give them something, not any info on DEA.
I did feel bad when I was listing all of the drugs that were in Justin Timberlake's system.
And laughing about it too.
It's like, hey, you guys ever heard of this?
Yeah. Oh, no, this was the best part. So real quickly, and Josh, you might remember this. Somebody returned, it was one of the guys from the DEA booth, returned a phone that was just completely beat up and said, hey, someone dropped their phone. Can we just set it here? And the kid came by within like a couple of minutes and he looked like he was on something. And he said, he goes, oh, thanks guys. I was running from somebody. And we're like, this is a bit, right? This has to be a bit. The DEA actually returned the phone and that guy looked like he was on something. Maybe he was running from the DEA. It was great.
Yeah. The DEA did not keep it at their table. They brought it to us, which is probably advantageous for that guy.
So then they could see him and they could apprehend him.
He was on something.
Gig 'em or Vols? Gig 'em or Orange?
I said gig 'em before the series started, so I'll stick with
you are
it.
on the board.
Vols.
I had Omaha Vols before, and I'm sticking with it.
Drew Beam versus Prager will be good tomorrow, though. Assuming that's the pitching matchup.
I would hope so. I hope they don't go the starter route.
Well, Lampkin already threw, and they did their thing with the,
I think it'll be fun. I think it's going to be unique having the game on ABC on Sunday.
Yeah.
Ooh, special showcase.
That's cool.
ABC.
Just reminds you, I was telling Gary earlier, that reminds you of the old Saturday CBS, the finale, the winner take all. Noon start then, one start on Sunday.
Yeah, do we want it to end in 2 games on ABC, or do we want that third game?
Yeah, we do. Let me stop you right there.
That is my answer. I would like it to be done on Sunday.
Oh, don't you want a winner take all? Everybody's chips on the table?
We love Monday night national championship games.
That's true.
We do.
That is true.
We do.
And this one theoretically wouldn't last until post midnight, but you never know.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, I hope not.
All right. See you guys.
Have a good weekend.
That is the crossover powered by Everlevel Concrete Repair in Omaha at everlevelconcrete.com. It's Friday. We'll start things off next.
That's the crossover. The Connor Happer Show is next on 1620 The Zone. Mornings with Sharp and Handley.
But here's the other thing that I've also come to a conclusion after eating in a restaurant the other day. You know, when you walk in and they go, would you like a booth or a table? I am here to tell you, I don't mean to be mean about this. There is no one that goes to a restaurant where the booth is available that wants a table. There just isn't. And if they want the table over the booth, I'm very curious about who they are, how they're made up.
Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Weekdays 6 to 10 on 1620 The Zone. Your Omaha area forecast presented by Funplex Water Park and Rides from the KETV Newswatch 7 Weather Center on 1620 The Zone.
Summer heat is back as we close out the week. Friday, expect mostly sunny, hot, humid, and breezy conditions. South wind gusting up to 25 miles per hour. Expect highs around 90 with feels-like temperatures in the mid-90s. I'm meteorologist Sean Everson from KETV Newswatch 7.
Are Nebraska craft beers and ciders important to you? Whether you just love Nebraska brewed beers and ciders or you're a full-fledged craft brewery, there are benefits to membership for anyone with the Nebraska Craft Brewers Guild. Their sole mission is to foster and help grow the Nebraska-centric brewing community. Become a member today at nebraska.beer and help advance the craft beer and cider industry in the state of Nebraska. Find out more about the Nebraska Craft Brewers Guild at nebraska.beer.
I'm Ryan Osted. Golf is great because it can be whatever you want it to be. If you want to go out and have a competitive 18 holes, you can make it that. If you want to go out and have a scramble and just have the time of your life, if you want to have a charity golf tournament to raise money for some great cause, you can make it that. It is flexible to be whatever you need it to be at that particular moment in your life. And I've needed golf to be different things at different points in my life. And I'm certainly thankful that I was able to learn the game as a kid and continue to play it now as an adult.
Play better, have fun, and shop Osted's.
Hey, you hear that? That's the sound of loose change in your pocket reminding you to buy a 99-cent medium fountain drink from Casey's. So the next time you hear this, you already know where to go. 99-cent medium fountain drinks. It's not crazy. It's Casey's.
Think about it. How prepared are you for the unexpected? Emergencies strike without warning, and we all know something big will be thrown at us soon. Being prepared makes all the difference. This means having a reliable food supply stored to use during tougher times. That's why at My Patriot Supply, we sell thousands of our 4-week emergency food kits every week. Each kit is packed with delicious, easy-to-prepare meals that provide over 2,000 calories per day. These kits are designed to stand by for up to 25 years, ready to use when you need them most. This week, save $50 on every 4-week emergency food kit you need. Simply go to mypatriotsupply.com and secure one for each family member. That's $50 off every 4-week emergency food kit. Order by 3 p.m. and your kit's shipped that same day. It's better to have emergency food than to need it and not have it. Shop mypatriotsupply.com. mypatriotsupply.com.
With Verizon, now everyone can get our best phone deals.
Even if I'm new?
Even if you're new.
What if I've been with Verizon forever?
Oh, yeah. You see, new and existing customers get the amazing iPhone 15 with tons of storage on us. With any iPhone trade-in, any model, any condition. Guaranteed with unlimited ultimate.
Here's one. What if?
That's a yes. There's a deal out there for everyone. Only at Verizon. $829.99, 128 gigabyte only device payment or full retail purchase with new or upgrade smartphone line on unlimited ultimate plan. Minimum $90 a month with auto pay plus taxes and fees for 36 months required. Less $830 trade-in/promo credit applied over 36 months. Promo credit ends if eligibility requirements are no longer met. 0% APR. Trade-in terms apply.
It's the Connor Happer Show. Are we sure we want to do this?
Could you, make an announcement that we're ready?
It's the Connor Happer Show on 1620, The Zone.
All right, welcome in. Happy Friday. It's the Connor Happer Show here on 1620 The Zone and on 1620thezone.com. Connor Happer, Josh Johnson with you. It's Friday. We still got at least 2 more College World Series games coming at you. But we'll take a quick pit stop into Nebraska football today. A lot of it. Matt Rhule speaking yesterday, talking about additions, talking about what's coming up, what they're going to be like, talking about murder, little of this, little of that.
Murder?
Yeah, the word murder was mentioned during Matt Rhule's press conference yesterday by Matt Rhule.
If we die, we die.
We're going to murder you. What? And I quote Matt Rhule, we're going to murder you. Matt Rhule, Josh Peterson, handshake beam.
Murder cult.
Big time. All right, today on the show, I know you're wondering, are we months on or are we months off? It's months on. We're back on 11 o'clock. Bryan Munson on a recruiting update in front of a big weekend for Nebraska. Brian Christopherson at 11:30. And our good friend Steven M Sipple, who got some news dropped on him yesterday during his show on Husker Online, will join us at 12:30 today.
Did you get that?
Tweeted out that video earlier. Incredible stuff. So we'll ask him about that coming up at in the noon hour. That's the lineup powered by the Rooferees at John Higgins Weather Guard. Want to hear from you guys? 402-951-1620 on the 42 Degrees of Source hotline. You can call or text that number. Tweet at Happer Show, at Connor Happer on the JTech Construction Zone Twitter feed. Email Connor or Josh O at 1620thezone.com in the Equitable Bank inbox. Trust me, I will have my email open the whole show today.
Wow.
Yep, it's even open right now. Like Ross, Ohio State Ross, we're calling him now, by the way.
Hi, Ross.
Writes in the Equitable Bank inbox. Dawson Merritt. Looks like Nebraska's missing out on Dawson Merritt. All the picks coming in for Alabama right now.
Whoa.
Maybe that's something that we'll get to during the show today, if that is indeed to be the case.
What's the latest on Bronny? Is Bronny coming to?
We got fake Bronny.
Yeah, fake Bronny.
We're getting fake Bronny. Maybe I don't know.
We're getting him.
I don't know. He's going to be here this week.
He's visiting. Okay.
He's the guy who played LeBron's son, not Bronny, in the Space Jam 2 movie.
Would have been really easy to just have Bronny play Bronny.
Could have happened.
Seems like he could have just said, "Hey."
Maybe he didn't want to throw off his college eligibility.
You want to go do that?
Or something. I don't know. Like I don't know how that all works. But I guess the same thing worked for Mr. Wright, who will be here this weekend. So
everybody be on your best behavior.
That's right. Pretend like show them all of the theaters and all the thespians that we have.
Somebody get them a Starbucks.
Exactly. Great idea. You can also watch our show on YouTube, 1620 The Zone TV, or on zonetv.live. Tony writes in on the YouTube.
Hi, Tony.
How about us getting the NAIA Heisman Trophy winner? Oh, yes. That will be spoken about today. It happened, much to the surprise of Steve Sipple and Sean Callahan yesterday on their show. Did you get that? Tweet that out. So yes, we will talk plenty about that and what his addition means for the Nebraska quarterback room. But what a perfect situation for Nebraska to kind of fall into in that situation. All right, that's how you get in touch with the show. We'd love you to leave a comment or write in or call in. We'll take your calls here on a Friday. 402-951-1620. Like I said, just so I can get this out here before the show starts. Tomorrow, we will have shows from the Omaha Baseball Village leading into Game 1 of the championship series tomorrow night. That will be Gary and
Nick
leading into that game. Sunday, Game 2, we will be on. Connor, me, and Nick will be on from 10 to 12:40, I believe, is the plan on that one.
That sounds right.
And then in front of a Game 3, we might be all back out there again, just one final time from the Omaha Baseball Village if we do get a Game 3. So we'll have live programming for you this weekend as well. Somebody said, Theo said on the YouTube, Saturday Happer show, party hap emoji. Not Saturday Happer show, Sunday Happer show. A little Sunday morning coffee with yours truly.
Better.
Two
hot coffees.
2 hot coffees with me and Nick Hanley. That's what we're going to call the show, I think. So plenty of other things to get into. Like I said, Husker football related stuff. We'll talk about that World Series final a little bit. Maybe a little this week in baseball. A very cool night for Major League Baseball last night with the Rickwood game. Reggie Jackson steals the show.
Very cool night last night. I think one of, if not the best pregame show I've ever seen in my life.
And we'll speculate. Where are we going next? Say hello to the MLB Moon game.
Ooh.
Coming next year to Major League Baseball, brought to you by Elon Musk.
Baseball on the moon.
Baseball on the moon. I think that's all we have left to do.
That ball ain't coming down.
Baseball on the moon. So we'll talk about that as we go on throughout the show today. Off and running on a Friday. Back for a couple minutes next before we talk to Munson on the Counter Hamper Show on 1620 The Zone.
Big names, big games. We've got them all. 1620 The Zone.
For the second year, the Nebraska Lottery's NASCAR Powerball Playoff promotion has roared into our state, and the excitement is throttling up. Until June 24th, buy a Powerball ticket with Power Play and Double Play. Enter the voucher number, and you could be one of 15 Nebraska winners of $1,000 and the chance to win a VIP trip to the NASCAR Cup Series Championship Weekend, plus a shot at $1 million. Enter today. Powerball top prize odds 1 in 292 million.
We're going abroad for the first time in years. To Spain.
But we don't speak Spanish.
So we started using Babbel.
And started learning Spanish fast.
With Babbel, you can start having conversations in another language in just 3 weeks. Babbel's conversational method teaches you real-life words and phrases. And with Babbel's interactive bite-sized lessons, you'll remember what you learned.
¿Cómo te llamas? ¿Cómo te llamas? ¿De dónde eres?
¿De dónde eres?
When you learn a language, you want to actually use it. Babbel is designed with that goal in mind.
In just 3 weeks, we're starting to have conversations in Spanish.
Estoy muy emocionado para ir a España contigo.
Aw, he just said, I'm very excited to go to Spain with you. Nos vamos a divertir mucho.
And that means we're going to have a lot of fun.
Sí. Gracias, Babbel.
Babbel, language for life. Celebrating 10 million subscriptions sold. Now try Babbel for free at Babbel.com. Just go to Babbel.com and start learning a new language today. That's Babbel.com. Babbel.com.
Hi, we're the Goo Goo Dolls. We're fortunate that we can give our daughters everything they need to grow and learn. But not every child can focus on classes and play dates.
Nearly 13 million kids in the U.S. face hunger. That's 1 in 6. School lunch might be their only meal each day, and it's heartbreaking to imagine any child going to bed hungry. We're dreaming of a perfect day when kids can smile, play, and just be kids without worrying about where their next meal will come from. Feeding America is working to make that perfect day a reality.
Each year, the Feeding America network of food banks rescues billions of pounds of good food that would have gone to waste. That food is given to families and children in need. Being a kid should be about doing things that make an ordinary day extraordinary. Learning to play an instrument, building a sandcastle, hosting tea parties. Hunger should never be an obstacle to growing up.
You can help end childhood hunger in your community by visiting feedingamerica.org.
Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Howdy, Greg Wagner joining you from the Nebraska Game and Parks Commission. Time now for another Nebraska Outdoor Update. Hey, planning a trip to a state park? One of Nebraska's 76 state park lands? Excellent. But don't forget your state park permit, money for camping fees and other activities, a fishing permit if you want to wet a line, and oh yeah, a 6-foot leash for Scruffy, your pet. Thank you, and we hope to see you out there. By the way, you can get all kinds of information on the Nebraska State Park lands through the Game and Parks website. That web address is outdoornebraska.gov. Are you going fishing? I thought so. For proper catch and release fishing this season to ensure fish survival, I want you to remember these important things. Land the fish as quickly as possible. Handle the fish as little as possible. Keep the fish in the water as much as possible. And release the fish as fast as possible. Enjoy your fishing experience, and we'll see you out there. I'm Greg Wagner with Nebraska Game and Parks.
Email us on the Equitable inbox with whatever is on your mind. The Zone inbox is brought to you by Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. You can hit me up, agree, disagree, tell me your thoughts on life at Hanley@1620thezone.com. We want to hear from you on the Equitable Bank Zone inbox.
Double barrel Pete tweet action this morning. Sources, Garrett Classy will be the next athletic director at Fresno State. He's the deputy AD at Houston. He's previously worked as the interim AD at Nebraska and the athletic director at UIC. He's also had stops at Alabama and Oregon. Garrett Classy was Bill Moose's top lieutenant at Nebraska and was during Moose's tenure. Everyone was kind of aware that Bill wasn't going to be around for very long and that he was probably going to be the guy to move into that chair. Well, it didn't necessarily work out that way as Bill was kind of moved off and Nebraska obviously decided to go in a different direction. Then Trev Alberts was hired and then Garrett Classy had to endure some things in his time while he was under Trev Alberts. Maybe he got the Milton treatment a little bit from Office Space.
Oh yeah. They took a stapler.
They took his stapler.
They fixed the
glitch. They fixed the glitch.
Okay.
And now he's going to be the athletic director at Fresno State. So congrats to him. Also, other Pete tweet. Oklahoma has agreed to a new 6-year contract extension for coach Brett Venables. The new 6-year deal includes a significant raise for Venables, and there's been an uptick in overall program commitment as Oklahoma heads to the SEC. Number one thing, I'd love to see the buyout number. Where's that at?
A lot of us are curious. Yeah.
He went 6-7 in 2022.
People forget.
He went 10-3 last year.
People forget.
With losses to Kansas, Oklahoma State, and then Arizona in the Alamo Bowl. So a 10-win regular season is pretty good. Did they get back on track? Maybe. But he's going into this, the response was, okay, you're our guy. We're going to pour a whole bunch of money into this thing. We're going to the SEC. It's all on you now. You better be good. Brett Venables gets the contract bump.
This is weird, right?
No. Why is it weird for you, though?
I thought we were for sure going to fire this man.
I think...
Who was it at the Village that said that Oklahoma would have a new coach in 2 years? I don't know.
Ooh.
The takes of
that sounds like a Schaefer take.
The takes have just come so fast and so furious over the last week. I don't know who said what.
It kind of sounds like a Schaefer take,
okay.
But if I'm, I don't want to, misapply that tweet to or that thing to anybody else. But I would say this: that you are probably going to see programs in a general sense, not one size fits all here, but in a general sense, you're going to start seeing programs do a little bit more of this rather than, I mean, Trev talks about it all the time, and he said so at the SEC meetings a couple weeks ago. We don't have a money problem in college athletics. We have a spending problem in college athletics, or something to that regard. And so when met with a situation of like, do we like cut bait, which I don't think was really on the table for the record. Do we cut bait and start over and do a buyout and dig ourselves a hole that way and hopefully, cross your fingers, get the right guy afterwards? Or road 2 is, let's invest in this guy, give him everything we possibly can, put the program in as good a position as you can, and then we'll see about him. I think that's the better option. It's the better monetary option, that's for sure. And it's the best option for your program in general. I wish Nebraska would have done that for many of their coaches in the past. I wish Nebraska would have done that for Mike Riley. You know, I don't know how it would have turned out. Maybe would have found out 3 years later that he just wasn't going to hack it. He wasn't going to cut it. Probably. That probably is the answer. It might be the answer with Brent Venables as well. But I would like to see Nebraska, really put all their effort and their juice behind somebody, right? This is how you do it. This is how Nebraska is doing it right now. I got no problem with it. The answer might still end up being the same. It might just be, yep, we figured it out. It's not good enough.
Now we know.
But at least you know, right? At least you know.
It's good to know.
It's good to know. And in some cases, Nebraska puts their full force behind, or I should say schools put their full force behind a person or a coach, and that person is here. And then it was never going to work anyway. Maybe that happens too sometimes. But I think it's a great trend for, I would rather see, I would like, if I am like I said, generally, not one size fits all, but generally, if I'm an athletic director, especially in these uncertain times, I am choosing to, if it's on the edge, I am choosing to invest fully and completely in the coaches, in the programs. And then after that, the answer just simply reveals itself. You don't have to deal with this PR thing. You don't have to deal with the fan base being split, because everybody knows the answer at the end of it. If if they publicly sit out there and they say, all right, we're going to throw all this money into football and we're going to invest in Brent Venables, and in 3 years they still haven't won anything, then they have their answer. Everybody agrees on the answer. That's what happened with Scott Frost when Trev came in. He was like, all right, no, we're going to support this guy and we're going to do everything we can. We're going to get him what he asks, and we're going to, obviously we're going to make the apparatus a little bit cleaner around him, and we're going to do some things. And you got your answer very quickly.
So is this an extension or a?
It's a prove it.
The clock is ticking.
It's a prove it. Yeah. It's a prove it.
We, Mr. Venables, we have started the clock.
That's right. It better work. If not, then everybody will know the answer.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody will know the answer. I like that. I think that's the best way to do it. I think that's the cleanest way to do it. Anyway, the truth comes out. Eventually. All right. Like I said, want to hear from you guys on the show today, 402-951-1620 on the 42 Degrees of Source hotline. By the way, Theo writes in on the court. Thank you. Topic alert. Josh.
I got you. Hi, Theo.
Casey Thompson, greater than NAIA quarterback.
Oh.
You sure?
Do we think this?
Well, he might be a better football player. He is a more experienced Division I football player.
Definitely.
But I think there probably are reasons that Casey Thompson is not here. You saw it. Nebraska had every window of opportunity they ever wanted to ask Casey Thompson if he'd like to return. They didn't take any of those roads. And then this guy shows up on their doorstep and they're like, yeah, come on in. Why not?
He wants to be here.
You don't think there was some research done on who these people are and how they'd fit in the program and what they might want or what they might be after and things like that? Maybe, Nebraska did their due diligence in this case.
Mm-hmm.
So Yeah. By the way, also on the Casey Thompson thing, we're just going to have to let that one go.
Yeah. As Rick Pitino said, he ain't walking through that door.
It's really going to be okay. So we'll talk about the addition for Nebraska football at quarterback. We might even mention it a little bit next with Bryan Munson of Husker Online.
Munson.
Yes, we will be back. We are months on 1620 The Zone.
Live from the Host Coffee Studio, this is 1620 The Zone.
Hi, this is Doug Nodgard with Equitable Bank. Great service never goes out of style. When the digital age dawned, many said computers would be able to handle many of the interactions that used to take a person. Boy, were they wrong. How many times have you called your bank and gotten a recording to press 1 or 2? Not at Equitable. Not only does Equitable answer your call on the first ring, it's answered by a human being. That's because Equitable Bank values its customers. Equitable Bank, we take banking personally. Member FDIC.
The biggest pro football contests in Vegas are back. Circa Survivor and Circa Million are now up to $16 million in guaranteed prizes. 2 ways to win, no rate. Circa Survivor contestants select one team each week with no point spread. Last the longest to win it all, $10 million guaranteed. In Circa Million, take 5 picks against the spread each week for your share of $6 million guaranteed. Quarterly and full season payouts. Enter in Nevada, play from anywhere. Circasports.com for details. If you or someone you know may have a problem with gambling, call 1-800-238-7633.
Hey, you hear that? That's the sound of loose change in your pocket reminding you to buy a 99-cent medium fountain drink from Casey's. So the next time you hear this, you already know where to go. 99-cent medium fountain drinks. It's not crazy. It's Casey's.
Shop Sid Dillon Chevrolet, Nebraska's #1 volume Chevy dealer group. Visit us in Blair, Crete, Fremont, or Wahoo, or shop at SidDillonChevy.com. Together, let's drive.
You are what drives us, Sid Dillon.
Are you the decision maker in your company? Consider this. For the first time in decades, there's a better option for a corporate card and spend management platform. Meet Ramp, the only corporate card and spend management system designed to help you spend less money so you can make more. Most corporate credit cards offer points as incentives, but those points amount to less than their worth in real cash value. Ramp's business cards offer you cash back, real money in your pocket. Plus, you control who spends what with each vendor. And Ramp software collects and verifies receipts automatically, which means you'll stop wasteful spending and close your books in hours instead of days. Businesses that use Ramp add up to 5% to their bottom line the first year. If you're a decision maker, adding Ramp could be one of the best decisions you've ever made. And now get $250 when you join Ramp for free. Just go to ramp.com/sports. Ramp.com/sports. ramp.com/sports.
Cards issued by Sutton Bank and Celtic Bank, members FDIC. Terms and conditions apply.
What I know about courage, I learned from my adoptive mom. She said sometimes you just gotta hold on and know we'll get through this. Mom, we are so high up. Hold my hand.
No, you hold my hand.
Here we go.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care. You can't imagine the reward. Visit adoptuskids.org to find out more. This message is brought to you by Adopt U.S. Kids, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and the Ad Council.
Tickets for less. Best seats, best prices, no service fees. Shop ticketsforless.com. KOZN Bellevue, Omaha, Council Bluffs. This is 1620 The Zone. Bryan Munson.
Hey, long call. Comfy left zoom buster. 63 bang. Z Maui. Alert. Paradise Z Burger Y Wrap on one.
Husker Online on the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
All right, Bryan Munson joins us now on the 42 Degrees of Source hotline. Munson, people were wondering this week, are we months on or are we months off? And I was happy to tell them that we are months on. Thank you.
Well played,
I appreciate that. Thank you.
That is awesome. Yeah. No, that was really, really good. I love that.
So we're happy to be back.
We are months on today.
We are,
and I get my natural little kind of like hit the we're on the back side of the hill for the week. So I appreciate being months on today.
It is a sure marker of time as to when to start the weekend. All right, so we've had a lot of stuff here over the last couple of weeks. I honestly, should we just start with the midweek visitors this week and then kind of go from there? Potential additions to Nebraska's 2024 roster. If we're talking about David Hufkin and we're talking about Mekhi Nelson. Nelson's an interesting story. I guess where would you go first? What's our top story out of the week so far?
Yeah, I think it's still kind of trying to figure out what's going on with Mekhi Nelson, because we have him on 3. We have him listed still as a 2025 guy. So right. he is a high school graduate, Wilkes-Barre High School in Pennsylvania. He graduated at semester. He's a smart kid, really, really smart kid. If you read my update from him last night, when he entered into the fall semester of his senior year at Wilkes-Barre, he told me, and I don't know how this works, but he said, I needed 0.5 credits to graduate. Basically, the rest of his semester was, just total, gravy. And he was going to be getting out of Wilkes-Barre at semester regardless. Well, I don't think it worked out the way that he wanted it to, and he goes to a prep school that's a pretty well-known prep school, St. Thomas More. And I think it kind of gets him, back on people's radar a little bit. And it's obviously how Nebraska kind of found him. And Nebraska kind of found him after another camp performance at the Under Armour Next Combine. He rekindles that relationship with Coach Barthel. And basically then Nebraska, says, well, we got to make an offer. And they start in on the guy and they bring him in for an unofficial visit in the camp. And then they bring him back the next week for an official visit. Now, what they're talking about, and this is where I was trying to go with that, there's a possibility here that he is going to reclassify. So take his time at the prep school, kind of all, and just say, forget about it. He can go back to, because he's still qualified to transfer, and he could be eligible to join the roster essentially like later next month, if that's what he wanted to kind of do. And he is definitely thinking about this. He's got a commitment date in mind of July 16th. I think it'd be foolish to think that there's any other kind of options. I think that he's considering at the moment.
Right. I was going to say, it feels like a situation where it's just Nebraska or back to St. Thomas More, right?
Well, I think, and so like the coach that's there, at St. Thomas More, he essentially told me, he said, I'll tell you what I told Mekhi. And he said, you got the offer, take the visit, commit on the visit. And that's basically, the kind of advice that he had for him. So I don't think that he'll be heartbroken he doesn't have a guy like Nelson in the offense next year, but ultimately he did his job, and he really helped kind of showcase his talents and get him ready. And then that's what Mekhi's all about too. He's like, yeah, I could roll back to prep school for another semester, but he said, if I go to Nebraska now and I'm on the team in the fall, I'm one step closer to my goal. And I think he sees the bigger picture, and I kind of appreciated that when it was coming out of his mouth last night. So really interesting story with him. Then obviously we can talk about the other midweek visitor too.
Yeah, Hufkin. So he's committed to Nebraska. Nebraska kind of unearthed him at this camp a couple weeks ago. We've talked about him plenty. And the next step in that process, I remember from watching Sean's conversation with him where he was like, yeah, I took the offer basically on the spot, but I also got to go to these other camps, and I have to, we got to get some things figured out from a visa perspective, and we got to take a visit. And so that visit happened. Is there any further context you could provide on that?
So it sounds like, and Sean and I caught up this morning because we were talking about the other kind of mid-year guy, the kicker that announced this morning too, from John Hole. We talked about Hofkin because obviously Sean was there. You mentioned the conversation, and Chris Adamson is kind of the person that helps out with like the Gridiron imports, and he's been in touch with David, and we've been going back through Chris for both David and Constantine, the 2025 defensive end edge that Nebraska offered while on the Texas satellite camps too. And, the big deal was just that David hadn't taken a trip yet. And it was really, really, really difficult to kind of stand by a commitment without having an opportunity to like go check it out. And I think Nebraska played this perfectly. They brought him in at, that last week, and there were several, there was last week, and there was a midweeker with Douglas Utu potentially that you could bring him in as well. But Nebraska kind of naturally stalled this thing because there was some pressure there from like Houston to flip on the commitment, take the trip to Houston instead, and then end up kind of going there. Because this, again, it's kind of like Mackay. It's kind of like by default, right? You're going to take that trip there. It is where you said you were going to go. Now you're going to check it out. And the only way you're not going to end up going there, obviously, is like that things are just completely wrong, completely off, doesn't match like what you want to do. And then obviously then you're eating into some of your fall time where you could be potentially on the field, playing for somebody possibly. And I've said it. I said it from the very beginning too, and I stand next to this call because everybody who was like, "Oh no, he's an offensive tackle," and that's the guy that's going to be there. Nebraska's recruited a guy that looks like that. They don't have a guy that looks like that on defensive line either. I mean, he is very much kind of a character looking, Jeremy Slechta, kind of looking guy.
Nice.
that can play the three, that's really, 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 and this is the part here. He's really kind of tailor-made for that 4 technique, which I don't think people understand how valuable that is, particularly to how that projects up to the NFL. If he can become a master like Jared Crick, playing a 4 tech, hand in the dirt, going to work on the tackle, that is really where he would project the most to play at the next level. And he can absolutely do it in their odd man front there in Nebraska.
All right. What about Dawson Merritt? We've seen some projections come in. There seems to be some buzz in Alabama about a pending Dawson Merritt situation. We know he's down to Nebraska and Alabama. I guess what's the latest that you could provide on him, while understanding that the buzz around here doesn't seem to be as loud as it is in Alabama?
Well, so here's what I know, and here's what I think I know. He was very close a couple of times to committing to Alabama. Early on in the process. Like, I want to say in that kind of late March, early time frame. Let's just put it that way.
Okay.
And then he takes the unofficial visit to Nebraska, meets Dylan Rhule. Parents get to know each other. He's scheduled to go see Nebraska like the last weekend in June. He accelerates that, goes into the spring game as an official visit, and says, Nebraska and Alabama, my final 2, I'm getting through this process. Those are it. Those are the only 2 schools I'm considering. And then he hits the visit there the spring game weekend, and he waits until June to take the visit to Alabama. Well, then the following week after Alabama, he's back in Lincoln. He's back in Lincoln checking things out again, having conversations. He's around not just Friday, but he was there on Saturday last weekend. So where the information is kind of coming from, I think it all kind of draws back to there's not a lot of new out there, and I think that there's 2 ways to kind of consider this. Number one, he rolls back into the same kind of thought process he was having before about nothing really has changed. Both schools are great. I was this close to committing to Alabama before, therefore I guess I'm going to go back to Alabama. Or the way that it's typically worked before is that at some point proximity to home kind of wins out. And obviously there were some cryptic tweets that have taken place over the last couple of days, from his dad, about listening to the whisper, and it definitely sounds like he is struggling with this now. I talked to Chad Simmons, the On3 national guy, yesterday. He's a little bit up in the air, despite the fact that he's had a very long-standing prediction for Merritt to Alabama. So all of the predictions that happened yesterday were the Bama Online guys. The national guys aren't as quick to say that they feel like he is going to Alabama. So while I'm not saying that the door is wide open, I'm saying it's definitely not shut either. And I thought that there was something very interesting else that happened on Twitter yesterday when Merritt did make a tweet, or maybe when his dad made a tweet.
Oh, yeah. I think they both were tweeting a little bit yesterday, yeah.
Yes. So a very interesting kind of thing. There's always a language, to it. you just don't know. You don't know if you have your little Orphan Annie decoder pin set up right to kind of look at the language to understand what you're talking about. So that's the worry. That's the worrisome part of that whole deal right there. But I don't think it's done. I think we're going to hear something more about maybe where things are at, in the next day or so. I'd look for an update from Chad, if not Steve Wilfong, on our site here later in the next day or so.
Okay. Bryan Munson of Husker Online is with us. Elsewhere, Nebraska has some visitors coming in this weekend. This is obviously there's a transfer visitor coming in. Might get to that, but Chase Lofton locally, that probably headlines it here as far as uncommitted prospects that are making a big visit. As we've talked about him plenty, his recruitment has taken off, and it's big regional now and spreading into kind of national level territory for Chase Lofton. What is the context of this visit this weekend for him? How important is it that Nebraska gets in a good spot after this weekend with Chase Lofton?
Yeah, and the other side of that is obviously too is that Nebraska has missed out on the commitment from Plainview tight end, Ryman Zebra.
That's right.
So you're down to just the one in-state target versus the two guys that we've been talking about, leading up to the month of June. So and it's always felt like, and this is something I said in either Tunnel Talk or 3 and Out, it's always felt like Lawson has been the guy. Like I really feel like he's very similar to Carter Nelson. He's very similar to Fedoni. He can play that really true hybrid role of X and Y, and maybe even start out as an X and move into kind of a flex Y kind of guy later on down the line. But yeah, this really is having the cleanup spot with him on his official visit. This is huge, and I think also you're bringing in Lofton the same weekend that you have like Caden Vermas coming in, you have Pierce Newberry coming in. I mean, I know you didn't have Christian Jones a week ago, but at least you have the other two, local guys in Omaha. You also have Jackson Carpenter coming in this weekend that can help out, and Tanner Church as well from Colorado. So you have a few commitments there that'll be hanging out with him, so if you can kind of build the chemistry that way. I think it's also a very interesting weekend. You mentioned Sierra Wright, the transfer from USC. I think what's really interesting about that guy is that he has been a complete enigma mystery for everyone to figure out what he was going to do. So the fact that he is in Lincoln this weekend, I think Nebraska fans have to feel very, very good about the likelihood that he ends up becoming a Husker based on that. So you're kind of thinking it'd be very interesting to see what's going to happen with him and who's going to host him and whatever. But I like that. Obviously, you get Houston Kahaina Torres back in from Honolulu, St. Louis High School in Hawaii. I like the Bryson Weber. This guy gets overlooked a bunch from Missouri City down there in Ridgepoint High School. He's 6'3", and he's rated as a corner. So I think you're talking about a guy that can play the border corner position really, really well. And then, the Will Hawthorne linebacker visitor that comes in after picking up the offer from summer camp. And then the latest one that we had added, not just the portal guy, but Jeremiah Jones from Murray, Kentucky. Now, this guy, I get him on the phone, and he tells me on Wednesday that Nebraska is talking to him about potentially playing safety, and he is 6'6" and 205 pounds. Now, he's also an offensive guy. Florida State's talking to him about playing tight end, and Nebraska might be thinking, well, heck, we think you can play in the box safety for us, kid. I mean, he's got some really nice length. He has some really nice 7-on-7 film. It's going to be interesting to see what kind of comes out of the weekend with him.
It's so funny. I'm glad that you mentioned just that there, because Rhule talked about that idea briefly yesterday, and how they evaluate prospects, and then they start to get offers afterwards, and they're like, oh, we should be, nobody was looking, for example, nobody was looking at Jaden Doss as a cornerback, and now Nebraska is going to have him in that room. They are. I know we've done this probably 500 times since Rhule's been here, Brian, but like they're so confident in their evaluations, and frankly, they don't really care about what anybody else says, and so it becomes it becomes really like it becomes notable when they talk to these players and they say, hey, actually, we see you as this. And it's like they're hearing it for the first time, and it kind of turns on that light bulb. I find that piece of what they're doing in recruiting, and it's not just a game, like they really believe it. I find that piece of what they're doing in recruiting really interesting.
I think it's refreshing. I think that's the word I would use to sum it up, because I'm sure that every place that these other recruits go to, they're told about how great they are at what they're doing. And instead of that, they go to Nebraska. Nebraska tells them about how they can improve and maybe how they can actually help out the team if they decided that they wanted to play another position, because Nebraska may have in mind playing the other side of the football or playing another position, opposite of wherever they were playing right now. I mean, it's a luxury to not have every recruit pigeonholed, to you based on their evaluations. Nebraska just says, to heck with your evaluation.
Right.
I'm going to do it myself. I know what I need to do on both sides of the football. I know what my profile looks like for these guys. I know what height I'm looking for, what speed I'm looking for. I know the demeanor, the leadership aspect, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And they are building their roster with that in mind. I tell you what, it's a very refreshing look to have to kind of go out there. They're still not going outside the boundaries of these guys aren't going to be the kind of players that we're talking about in the NFL draft, NFL draft week, and what round they're going to go in. I think they're precisely figuring out what position they could play at the next level. And that to me is like even something that gets hidden even inside of all the other stuff we just talked about. And I think Matt Rhule is really twisting this thing to where he understands to really maximize yourself, you're going to have to give this some thought. And I think I appreciate it too.
The right guys, he always says this too, the right guys kind of want to be coached. And if the coach looks at you and says, hey, look, we think this of you, I think they like the guys who say, all right, yeah, interesting. Let's try that out. Or guys who just want to play. So I think there's a lot that goes into that conversation. Anything else? I mean, you gave us a good rundown of the visitor kind of list this weekend. Anything else we should be sort of watching over the weekend here?
Well, you have Brian Tapu that's going out to Oregon State, and I really felt like he's going to come down to making a decision, fairly quickly. We'll catch up with him maybe later next week and see if he needs some more time to kind of think things through. But I felt like he was kind of conflicted leaving Nebraska. I feel like he really kind of felt like he found a home. So, and that would be a huge add. I mean, talking to the people that were around him last weekend, 6'8", 300 pounds, incredibly athletic. It was I've never heard a story like this before, man, where the father of the son has never been to the United States before the official visit to Nebraska. I have never in a million years had that happen, had heard that, thought about that at all. But, Dad made it there for the first time to the States from New Zealand.
Interesting.
And really a tremendous story. Kid's very funny to talk to. Really got a kick out of him. So we'll see what he's thinking about next week.
All right, Munson. This is it. This is it. Enjoy your weekend. Crack that beer open. Fire up the grill. Do what you got to do. I'm sure it's going to be excruciatingly hot wherever you are, because it is definitely going to be here as well.
We got the refreshments to go in, but yeah, US tomorrow night. We'll be doing that. We'll be doing that on the deck.
Nice. See you later.
Yep. See you guys.
Bryan Munson of HuskerOnline.com. Happy to be the people to send him off into his weekend, Josh. By the way, do I smell popcorn?
Oh yeah, it's out there.
I forgot that Popcorn Friday even existed. What a nice surprise.
You really are in a brain fog.
Absolutely. Complete and total brain frog. Brain frog.
Prove my point.
Ryan Christopherson is coming up next. We'll get to BC. We'll ask him about Jalyn Gramstad, the addition for Nebraska, and some of the things that Matt Rhule had to say yesterday, which I thought were interesting. Actually, let's just tease this out. Let's put a pin in this real quick. He mentioned so pretty much one of the first questions right off the bat was he was asked about the new building, and they've been through it a little bit, but I think it was the first question. It was like, what do you think about it? What's been the operational, what's been the functional level that you guys have used it to? And he was he was talking about the new building. Rhule was, and he, what he likes and what he doesn't like. And there are very few things he doesn't like. But one of the things he doesn't like is that his office is not close to where the players are. He has to get up and kind of walk. And as at that point, he mentioned that the previous staff designed the place. And I thought, that's on brand. That makes a lot of sense. Scott Frost designed the building so the his office wasn't near anybody else. Interesting. And Matt Rhule wants it exactly the opposite way. Interesting
wrinkle.
Yeah.
In hindsight, yes. Yes, I understand now.
That is very on brand for both coaches.
Very.
To be honest with you. So we can ask BC about that and plenty more. When we return, it is Friday on the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
Previously on The Crossover.
I opened up my fortune cookie last night, and on the front it says, here you could download a bunch of music. And then on the back, there's a QR code for Napster.
Yeah, fortune cookies used to be fun, whimsical. At the end of your chicken fried rice, you're like, boop, boop, boop.
Boop, boop, boop. That's exactly what I did
we had
last night.
Chinese the other night. I don't think we ever got fortune cookies.
Even worse.
Mornings with Sharp and Hanley. The Connor Happer Show. Unsportsmanlike conduct. 6A to 6P. 1620. The Zone. Your Omaha area forecast presented by Funplex Water Park and Rides. From the KETV Newswatch 7 Weather Center on 1620 The Zone.
Summer heat is back as we close out the week. Friday, expect mostly sunny, hot, humid, and breezy conditions. South wind gusting up to 25 miles per hour. Expect highs around 90 with feels-like temperatures in the mid-90s. I'm meteorologist Sean Everson from KETV Newswatch 7.
The Connor Happer Show returns in minutes on 1620 The Zone.
At Cox Mobile, we know you're smart. You brush your teeth in the shower to save time, make coffee ice cubes for your cold brew, and wear goggles to cut onions. You also added Cox Mobile. So smart. Now you're running on the network with unbeatable 5G reliability and saving on your Cox internet. It's ingenious, just like you.
Aw, thanks.
Cox Mobile, the smart way to mobile. Cox postpaid internet required. Cox Mobile runs on the network with unbeatable 5G reliability as measured by Ookla LLC in the U.S. to age 2023. Other restrictions apply. Learn more at cox.com/mobile.
Introducing Modern Real Estate, the game changer in Nebraska's property market. With a competitive 2% commission rate, we're making buying, selling, and investing more affordable and transparent than ever. Our experienced agents blend local expertise with cutting-edge technology to provide top-notch personalized service to all clients. Don't settle for less when you can save big without compromising. Visit modernrealestateco.com and experience the future of real estate today. Modern Real Estate, redefining the way you do real estate.
Ah, the sweet feelings of summer. The kiss of warm sun on your skin. The softly scented breeze blowing through the trees. Don't worry, you have Off Clean Feel, fragrance-free mosquito repellent that feels good on skin, so even mosquitoes can't ruin those sweet feelings of summer. Off Clean Feel. Prevention is the best protection from mosquitoes.
Shop Sid Dillon Chevrolet, Nebraska's #1 volume Chevy dealer group. Visit us in Blair, Crete, Fremont, or Wahoo, or shop at SidDillonChevy.com. Together, let's drive.
You are what drives us, Sid Dillon.
The Pinnacle Bank Championship presented by Woodhouse is back. And you don't want to miss a second of Omaha's biggest golf tournament of the year. Join us August 5th through the 11th to catch the action as players battle their way towards the PGA Tour. Plus, enjoy events like RSM Youth Day, the Patriot Outpost, and the Live and Loud Concert Series. Secure your tickets today at thepinnaclebankchampionship.com/tickets.
Hey, Brian. Brian Christopherson.
I gotta take this a tap.
B. Rooney drove my Chevy to the levee, but the levee was dry.
Brian Christopherson, Husker 24/7 on the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
All right, we'll get a hold of Bryan Christopherson of Husker 247 here in just a minute. A lot of things were said yesterday by Matt Rhule. Got an email from the Equitable Bank inbox from John.
Hi, John.
Office location. Putting the office as far away from the players is yet another marker that Scott Frost is a horrible coach and a miserable person. John really goes after Scott Frost anytime we mention Scott Frost.
Ouch.
But yeah, it was right off the bat yesterday. I was like, he goes, yeah, so we keep in mind that we didn't design it, but it's really well thought out and everything. The only thing that I don't like is that I have to get up and walk a mile when I want to be around the players.
You think he knew what he was saying when he said that?
No, I think he meant what he said genuinely.
Yes, I genuinely don't like this design.
Yes,
but do you think he knew what he was indirectly saying?
I would never put anything like that past Rhule. So probably he probably knew what he was indirectly saying, but he said it indirectly, and I thought, interesting. He also mentioned yesterday that now this was in the Josh. Why don't we just play? Well, actually, BC is good now. You can call him back.
Okay, I will call him now.
So we could talk about Bryan about this in a second, but he also mentioned in Husker Online's thing that they had yesterday, they had Rhule on for a couple minutes, and that was where the video of Sipple and Sean came from that I tweeted out earlier. But he was like, "Yeah, we're doing." Yeah, Josh, you got it. He was talking about how they're going to do practice a little bit different this fall, and they're never out of development mode, but they are not going to do the old guy practice, young guy practice this year. It's kind of everybody comes together. So I thought that was sort of interesting as well. And we'll have time to spread out and talk about that as we go on throughout the show today. We're joined now on the 42 Degrees of Source hotline by Brian Christopherson of Husker 247. BC, apologize, we called a couple minutes too early. How are you?
No, it's good. I was just finishing up another interview with a recruit, so this is fine.
Oh, okay. So we're gonna have some more nuggets coming in today.
At some point, yeah. I don't know if this one will be today, but yeah. There's always nuggets, right? There's always nuggets to be found.
There's always nuggets. There's always something in there.
Nuggets or kernels.
Absolutely. I mean, is there a difference between a nugget and a kernel? I think they mean the same thing, but maybe one feels bigger than the other.
I think kernels is just the word you use when you feel like three other outlets in the market are using nuggets, so you decide I'll switch it up today and use kernels.
Yeah, and it's a corn reference, so we could do it that way.
Yeah. So that's basically it.
All right. So the addition of Jalyn Gramstad was confirmed yesterday, announced by Jalyn himself, and confirmed by Rhule. It's hard for me to imagine, Brian, that Nebraska could have. I don't know how much this means for Nebraska in terms of them. Like, I'm not trying to say that I'm over the moon about this, and Nebraska is going to be this, and this because of the addition of the NAIA Player of the Year. That's not what we're doing here. But if you were looking for another quarterback to bring in, and he's not going to be the starter, it would have been difficult for me to imagine like a better situation for Nebraska to kind of bring in a guy from. I feel like they checked a lot of boxes here, and from what it sounds like, it just fell directly into their lap. Like, what's your read on how Nebraska either ended up with Jalyn Gramstad or what it kind of means to that room?
Yeah, even if he's like the fourth guy, in this day and age, you need that many options at least. And you hear Rhule talk about it a lot with, the college football season getting longer, and some people will snicker at this, but I like the way they think over that there when Rhule talks about, we've got to think like we're going to be one of those teams basically who ends up, playing 15 to 16 games or whatever it is. You got to at least have that mindset from the outset. Otherwise you have no chance at it. And with that, you definitely realize that the QB position, as we've seen in recent years, you often will end up calling on your second or third guy. And at some point it even goes further down the chain than that. So to get somebody like Jalyn, who had a very accomplished career, it's a couple rungs down the ladder. So people have to be understanding of that. But that doesn't mean he's not a savvy guy who can pick stuff up really quickly, who really wants to be here. His dream is sort of to always to be here. He's going to be motivated to come in there and learn. And that's all you can ask for that, to give you depth there. And then you see where it goes. Maybe it takes off to something else bigger than what I'm talking about. And that would be awesome. but he's the type of guy who has the right mind and a winning background, even though it's at a lower level, that you love to have in your room and your position group, especially with some younger guys. He hasn't played Big Ten football or anything like that, but he's played college ball for several years, and I have to think that's a useful person to have alongside a couple of 18-year-olds who are just kind of getting going in their college career. So I think there's a lot to like. And of course, if people remember the story from when he came to the camp, it was sort of on a whim. He had a conversation, as he told me, with his grandpa. He says, sometimes you just got to go for it, in life. You got to chase something and don't have that what if sort of hanging out there. And he did it, and I'm kind of glad the story turned out as it did.
Me too. I mean, it's a good ad for Nebraska, that's for sure. And I think from the perspective of what it means maybe for some of the other guys, or the protection that it gives some of the other guys in the room. It's just another body, and I don't know how much it affects Dylan Raiola directly, but now my brain can start moving a little bit on things that you could do differently with Heinrich Harburg, things that you could do differently with Daniel Kalen, like what does his development track look like? It all revolves around the idea that Gramstad could come in and be a serviceable, whether it's backup or third or whatever it might be. I wonder where that lands. But I've thought a lot about what it could mean for the other guys in that quarterback room. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, they needed a fifth guy, and you're kind of up against a time crunch. You've got someone who I think will be very good at learning stuff fast, which will give him a fighting shot. I'll be honest, Hap, I don't know exactly where to place him because of the
it's hard.
Sort of in like where he's played at. Like his credentials are awesome for where he's played at, and I also don't know okay, what does that mean for where you sit in a Nebraska quarterback room then, right? Does that mean you have a shot to fight for a backup, or are you more of a fourth guy, third guy? I don't know. So I'm as interested as anybody to see how that plays out. But the point is, especially with the red shirt rule as it is now, where you can have those 4 games, he still could technically be a Husker for 2 years. So if you got in a pinch where you did have a couple injuries, or you had to have someone come in for some snaps, he's a guy who you could theoretically play a couple games this year, in a tight spot.
Yeah.
And he'd still have 1 more year left. So that's where that redshirt rule and his situation, they pair nicely. Now, I don't know if, what his future plans are, how long he wants to be here, but that's just a thought to put out there for now.
Jaden Doss moving over to corner. That's something where it felt like it always, especially after the spring game, felt like Nebraska was going to have to take a skill guy and move him over to that spot. He seemed like the body type, I suppose, to do it. Any thought on what Nebraska now has in that room, and then what they're potentially trying to add this weekend as well with a potential transfer from USC, bringing more and more guys into that room to try and bolster up the numbers at this point?
Well, Rhule definitely didn't close the door on that they would take someone if someone wanted to join the roster and compete at that corner spot. But he also didn't back down from the idea of believing in who they have. Because I asked him that question about how do you feel 2.5 months out about the corner spot? Because I do think it's become a talking point since the Bly Hill injury. And it's kind of interesting, even before the Bly Hill injury, we kind of act like we know all this stuff about Bly Hill because he's having a good spring. Bly Hill's never played at this level either. They've got all these really very talented guys. I don't think that's overstating it or hype. Jeremiah Charles, people saw he's a freak. I mean, he is. He's got all the traits you want. It's just a matter of how quickly can a guy like that go out on that stage, and can he just perform right off the bat? But I like the confidence that Matt Rhule had in that group, and said they're going to be good. And he said that about Jaden too. And Jaden was one of my favorite recruits coming out of the Kansas City area. Basically was one of those guys who did everything, sort of a jack of all trades guy on offense. He was a freshman in high school, and he just won a lot and made plays wherever you put him. And so it doesn't surprise me that this staff could look at a player like him, who they say is now 200 pounds, and say, yeah, you could stick him at corner, and he's got the hip movement and the change of direction to play there and really compete for those 50-50 balls and all that. So he's picking it up, but that is one of those positions where if you're a great athlete, I've seen some guys in a hurry suddenly they're a part of things. I mean, Stanley Jean-Baptiste was a great example of that, who in the middle of the year flipped and was playing cornerback suddenly against Ohio State and has a pick, you know. So there are cases where guys can go really fast on that track after they move, and Jaden's definitely got the traits to at least give himself a shot. And there's an opening. There's an opening for somebody's going to have to step up opposite a Tommy Hill. I still wonder where they position Hartzog a little bit as somebody who gives you a little veteran experience. Could he go back to corner? I don't know. That'll be interesting to watch too.
I thought the health update was pretty significant as well yesterday with Corcoran being back full and Gabe Ervin. Like Ervin, I think especially because that was a guy last year who, I mean, he kind of was the lead guy up until he had taken that sort of spot before he got hurt again. And so I don't remember how long we anticipated that kind of dragging on through the summer, but to hear that a guy like that is back in the room doing everything now and will be ready to go for fall camp like right away, that feels really big to me for a room where we don't have any idea what's going to happen at this point.
I was just doing a list of like Huskers and I call it like the talked over list. It's sort of these guys who are going to matter, who for some reason or another just like didn't get talked about as much. And most of these are different guys than the ones that were mentioned yesterday. But Gabe Ervin is definitely someone who I think in the spring, out of sight, out of mind was sort of the case with him. And definitely with Turner Corcoran too. Like, I mean, I don't know what's going to happen on the line. I know that Mazuka's there, and they like Justin Evans, and Henry Latofsky had a really good spring. So maybe those are your guard options.
Yeah,
maybe
he's like
Corcoran.
is he like your sixth? Like, can you flex tackle guard? Like, I don't know where he lines up on the first day.
I just think it's a more interesting story than people are talking about. If he's fully ready to go, and I know there's been some doubters about Corcoran, but he's played as much as about anybody on the whole line, and he was the left tackle prior to his injury. Now, I think people are kind of hoping Teddy takes off over there, and then you got Bryce. But, you know, he's got a lot of snaps under his belt, and I just don't count out a person like that from being a pretty big part of the equation somewhere. It sounds like tackle's sort of where he's going to go back to start, but I know Donovan Raiola has said he can play every position on the line, including center if they had to. So that could be really interesting with him. And then Singleton. You really got three guys in Singleton, Corcoran, and Ervin thrown into the mix with their recoveries that whether they start or not, I don't know. But Singleton, I would bank on if he could get fully healthy, could work himself into a starting role. I mean, if you remember how Matt Rhule talked about him a year ago, just before the season, he talked about a guy who was sort of on the fringe of the two deep, and then all of a sudden over the summer he worked himself into it where like he's one of the best players on defense, and he was that in the first month of the season prior to injury, and I think he has next level talent. So Singleton immediately can change the look in that secondary if he's full go. There's no doubt about it.
Brian Christopherson of Husker 247. All right, BC, we'll let you go. Appreciate the update. Enjoy your weekend, and we'll talk to you next week.
All right, sounds good.
Brian Christopherson of Husker 247. You know, I like the way you framed up that Corcoran thing. That is, because he mentioned those guards, and I think they feel okay about all those. I don't know about Bazooka so much yet. He's kind of in a prove-it situation, but certainly has the talent to play for Nebraska this year. And then, you know, we've always thought highly of Teddy, but he hasn't been healthy outside of just a few games where he was really good. And then Ben Hart ended up being a plus for Nebraska last year. So you go into it thinking you kind of roadmap it and you're like, all right, we got our left tackle, I think. We got our right tackle for sure. We got our interior guys who maybe a mix of 3 or 4 of them that could play for 3 spots. And then what do you do with Corcoran? Like, John, who emails in, he's been very, let's say, he has not been very high on Turner Corcoran. He emails in.
Hi, John.
Corcoran being healthy is not a good thing. It gives the coaches the option of playing him, and that is definitely not a good thing. Let me ask you this, John. What about if he's like the sixth, if he's not completely dependent on the whole time? If he's not being dependent on to be a starter? Would you take that? I absolutely would. A guy is you would if Nebraska. Let me just say that. Let me put it this way: if Nebraska right now got a guy with the exact profile of Turner Corcoran in the transfer portal as their sixth offensive lineman, you'd be like, hell yes,
let's go.
Yes, absolutely. And so I think it's a nice thing to have. Now I don't know for sure he's going to be the sixth. Or the fifth or the fourth or whatever it might be. Like if he's going to be dependent on the start, there's always going to be injuries along the offensive line, but I'd be like, sick. Yes. Sign me up. Another offensive lineman with 50 games of starting experience along the offensive line. Former 5-star recruit, basically. Yeah.
We'd talk ourselves into it.
It wouldn't be that hard. Everybody would love it. Like if he went into the transfer portal right now, he would be one of the most coveted guys on there. Think about it that way.
Yeah, he absolutely would. Yeah.
Yes, with his resume, for sure.
Every fan base would be like, all right.
Yeah.
We got a guy. We got a dude.
So maybe think about it that way before we're like, pass. And I think they've, this coaching staff has shown the ability to develop guys at that position as well. They did it last year. All right. We will be back. Thanks to BC for joining. Sipple will still join in the noon hour. Plenty of bigger picture things to get to with him. But coming up, it's the odd news on 1620 The Zone.
I'm a fabulous driver.
The Connor Happer Show
I'm one of the best friends you could ever have in your life.
on 1620 The Zone.
I hate you.
For the Jays, the Huskers, and even you Jayskers, we are 1620 The Zone.
The Nebraska Lottery presents 5 reasons the dollar bill is so great. First, it's always there when you need it. You can always find one folded up in your pocket just waiting to get you out of a jam. Second, it's humble. It doesn't strut around like a 50 or 100 waiting for people to compliment it. Third, it works hard. Whether you need more money for a tip or extra detergent at the laundromat, a dollar bill sure comes in handy. Fourth, it beats lugging around 100 pennies. And fifth, you can use it to buy a Lotto America ticket from the Nebraska Lottery. Lotto America only costs $1. It has a $2 million starting jackpot with drawings every Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday. And you can add the All-Star bonus for an additional $1 to multiply any prize won. So visit a Nebraska Lottery retailer today and buy a Lotto America ticket. Ooh, sounds like someone tried to pay with 100 pennies. So sad.
Lotto America top prize odds 1 in 26 million.
Is your concrete cracked or uneven? Hey everyone, Coach Greg McDermott here to explain why you should choose Everlevel Concrete Repair. Many people think they need to replace broken concrete, but repairing it provides durable protection and comes at a fraction of the cost. Everlevel provides permanent repair solutions to fix your concrete and protect it against future damage, and it all comes with a long-term transferable warranty. They offer free inspections to walk you through the entire process. Call Everlevel Concrete Repair today.
Howdy, Greg Wagner joining you from the Nebraska Game and Parks Commission. Time now for another Nebraska Outdoor Update. Hey, planning a trip to a state park? One of Nebraska's 76 state park lands? Excellent. But don't forget your state park permit, money for camping fees and other activities, a fishing permit if you want to wet a line, and oh yeah, a 6-foot leash for Scruffy, your pet. Thank you, and we hope to see you out there. By the way, you can get all kinds of information on the Nebraska State Park lands through the Game and Parks website. That web address is outdoornebraska.gov. Are you going fishing? I thought so. For proper catch and release fishing this season to ensure fish survival, I want you to remember these important things. Land the fish as quickly as possible. Handle the fish as little as possible. Keep the fish in the water as much as possible. And release the fish as fast as possible. Enjoy your fishing experience, and we'll see you out there. I'm Greg Wagner with Nebraska Game and Parks.
How do you celebrate the expansion of Lindley Clothing with the addition of Well Suited? Well, you have a BOGO 50% off sale. Right now, Lindley Clothing, buy one, get one, 50% off sale on suits and sports coats. Buy one suit or sports coat at regular price and get a suit or sport coat of equal or lesser value at 50% off. Now, the sale is going on now, but it ends with a bang on July 3rd. If you haven't been to Lindley Clothing, get there now and check out Well Suited as well. More sizes, more styles, more selection. In the Linden Market at 132nd and West Dodge, you'll enjoy easy access to Lindley Clothing.
And now we've reached the point in the show where Josh Odson reads the peculiar, the bizarre, the comical, the odd news with Odd Son. Odd news, Odd Son. See what we did there? The odd news with Oddson.
Why Not Hoiberg writes in on the text line.
Hi, Why Not Hoiberg?
What is that I'm a fabulous driver clip from? That is from a Don LaGreca rant about, somebody accused him of not being anything without Michael K. And then he was giving off all the things that he's done in his life without Michael K.
Including fathering children.
Fathering children, being an incredible driver, being a great friend. Specifically to Michael K. Don LaGreca in New York Sports Radio. He gets hot sometimes.
He does.
He gets hot sometimes. I was jealous of all of our friends from the Athletic this week who had their meetings in New York. And I was like, man, I want to go to New York right now and just turn on that radio and listen. Just get stuck in traffic and just flip it on. What are they talking about? What are they talking about?
Talking about the Yankees.
Talking about Grimace.
All the way. Oh, yeah.
Grimace.
A lot of Grimace takes.
Garrett Cole, Juan Soto, getting mad at whoever the Mets manager is.
Brian Daboll's weight loss surgery.
Yeah. There's no. See, the thing about New York is they don't start football talk until football time.
Oh,
they are all baseball all summer long.
Wow.
Because people have takes.
Wish we could talk about baseball.
Me too. People don't have enough takes about baseball here, though, unless you're me, of course.
If you got Grimace takes, let us know.
Yeah, send them our way. All right, Josh, what do we got today?
We have football. Adam Schefter. He was
Shefty
honored in New York. Nassau County honored the veteran ESPN insider yesterday with a special
Long Island guy?
Adam Schefter Appreciation Day. Yes, he hails from the local village of Valley Stream.
Okay.
And now lives nearby in Roslyn. Are you familiar with Roslyn?
No, but I can look it up.
Okay. Schefter attended the special event, and he, of course, brought his cell phone, which he was using during the ceremony.
Wow.
The timing couldn't have been any
What
better.
about his second cell phone?
Or worse, depending on your view. What's your mindset on balancing your work life with your family life? A reporter asked him while he was working on his cell phone during the ceremony. He answered, I think most jobs done the right way are time consuming, and it's up to you to figure out the balance. It's very difficult no matter who you are and no matter what you do to strike the right balance. Now, eventually, the question got to, hey, what are you working on there? What are you texting right now during Adam Schefter Appreciation
Of course,
Day?
you have to ask the question.
I can't help it that the Patriots are signing Ramondre Stevenson to a contract extension.
Do you think that he's going to have that moment in his life where he looks back and he says, I probably shouldn't have been trying to get the scoop on Ramondre Stevenson while they were honoring me for this Hall of Fame on Adam Schefter Day or something like I probably shouldn't have been.
Probably could have let Ian Rappaport have that one.
Yeah, I probably shouldn't have been trying to get the scoop on Levante David's new contract while my child was being born.
I think if I was in his position, I would talk myself into, well, the Nassau County doesn't honor me if I'm not constantly grinding like that. So I got to keep grinding.
It would just be a miserable life.
It would. It sounds awful.
I would not ever want to be Adam Schefter. He's very rich and he's very famous.
Yep.
But
at what cost?
But there's also like, I mean, we talk about, people who are rich in the lives that they live, but he is not rich enough for how famous he is.
Right.
It's rare that you get that combination. Oftentimes guys are just rich and they're able to live in anonymity.
Yeah.
Schefter is too famous for how much he gets paid.
You know, LeBron.
Everybody knows him, but he is not he's not as rich as LeBron. He's not as rich as Taylor Swift.
LeBron gets 3 months off. Taylor Swift can have however much time in between tours and albums that she wants.
Let me ask you this. So Adam Schefter is in the top what of most recognizable people in America?
In America?
Yes.
500.
Yeah. Okay. I was thinking 500 as well.
Okay.
That's a good number. Sure. Most like you would definitely notice him if you were walking down the street and you bumped into him. He's not anywhere near the top 500 most rich people in America.
Right. And I mean, he's working 95% of the time he is awake.
Correct.
Like,
so it's just none of it is worth it. None of it is worth it.
You know, when he got started, yeah, the NFL had an off season, but there's no off season anymore.
But if he gave it up, then it'd be Ian Rappaport's job now.
That's right. If he slept for one day.
I'd like to see them all just agree on, like, they just all handshake me one day and say, no tweeting today.
No tweeting.
But then one thing, you know, something would happen and somebody would break the rule and then they'd all have to do it. It's like the Shams and Woj thing.
That's right. Who's going to report and tell me that Bill Belichick's girlfriend made it to cheer practice this morning?
It's a horrible, horrible.
That's a real story.
Horrible.
She made it to cheer practice this morning. Ridiculous. She's a cheerleader and dating Bill Belichick.
Who is old.
Yes. Connor, I'm sure I know you are not a fan of the television show The Simpsons, but I'm sure you are aware that they put things in the show and then those things eventually come true. They predict things.
I have heard this.
Okay. So you're familiar with that bit. Well, another one has happened. Try not to flip out, Simpsons fans.
Really?
They have predicted the future once again. Over the course of its 35-year run, it's predicted many things, including Donald Trump's presidency, Diddy's recent downfall.
The Cubs winning the World Series. Way back in the fall of 1990, The Simpsons predicted that there would be a fish with 3 eyes. And now in Greenland, look at that.
A fish with 3 eyes has surfaced. A brisk online discussion began as the photo was shared on the website Reddit. I'm sure you're also familiar with Reddit, Connor.
Yep.
3-eyed cod caught off the coast of Greenland, the post says. As if I can, you know, point this out to the radio audience, a fish has eyes on each side of its head.
Thank you for describing this.
And the third eye was
in the middle,
top of its head.
Oh, on top.
Okay. Top. Yeah.
Have you seen this? Have you seen this 3-eyed fish?
I have seen this 3-eyed fish.
Pretty disgusting.
It is disgusting, and I'm going to. It looks pretty real to me. Like if.
So this is apparently. This was. Well, I'm reading a story here from a couple of years ago, by the way, but it's okay. It's still odd.
It is odd.
This is near.
Well, the New York Post just got it today.
Nuclear plant in Argentina,
just like in The Simpsons.
Interesting. Not surprising that there would be a deformed fish outside of a nuclear plant in Argentina.
No, seems very practical.
Yeah.
Not ideal, but practical. Like, I see how that happens.
Some of these things, I just don't know if we should give The Simpsons credit. You know, I just don't like.
There is a little bit of that where, like, okay, we're just padding stats.
It's just a thing that happened. Mm-hmm. But they have a reputation, and their reputation precedes them.
Like, oh, Homer blew a tire. Like, oh yeah, people blow tires all the time. You know, like,
fisherman
doesn't count.
Julian Zmutt,
great name.
Julian Zmutt had this unusual discovery and said, "quote We were fishing, and we got the surprise of getting this rare specimen." As it was dark at the time, and we did not notice, but when you looked at him with a flashlight and saw that he had a third eye, the fish was handed over to local authorities for testing, but there were no subsequent information about what actually caused the fish to mutate this way. I wonder why. Well, not much more we could say here. Just maybe it would be a good idea to stop fishing in nuclear dump sites. That is from ZMEscience.com.
Well, wait, that's not the problem. The problem isn't that people are fishing there. The problem is
that the fish are mutating.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right?
if you don't want to find a three-eyed fish, then you shouldn't fish in the nuclear
Get out of
dumps.
here, kids. Nothing to see behind the curtain.
But if you don't want there to be nuclear fish, then maybe there just shouldn't be any nuclear fish.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. Our final
Blinky was the name of it on The Simpsons.
That's right. Our final story, a little risque if you got the kids in the car.
Uh-oh.
Just want to give that warning on the front.
Is it about Pornhub?
No, that's going away. We all know this, right?
That's what I've been told.
I don't know when, I don't know why, but it's not a thing that you're going to be able to get anymore. A celebrity basketball tournament slated to go down at a high school in New Jersey next month has been canceled, Connor.
Is this about butts?
It is.
I saw this headline and I didn't read it all into it, so I'm glad it's coming up here.
After the event's raunchy theme sparked outrage in the community. It was called the NBA Celebrity Basketball Contest. Now,
a little misleading.
Obviously, this is not the National Basketball Association. It was Nuttin' But AZZ.
Thank you, Josh. We'll keep that as a drop. I want to hear you say Nuttin' But AZZ.
Nuttin' But AZZ Celebrity Baddies Basketball Contest was all set to go forward on July 21st at Westside High School in Newark.
Okay.
Westside High School in Newark, everybody. But after a video promoting the event featured girls shaking their butts at the high school's gym, officials pumped the brakes on it all. According to Newark Public School spokesperson Nancy Deering, who probably got a really awkward phone call in the middle of the night, the event was supposed to be a community basketball event sponsored by a local politician. But once the promo hit social media, everything changed. No school or district official approved the activity depicted in the video, she said, or knew that an event at one of our schools would include such activities. After the event was halted, the tournament's organizer, celebrity music manager Big Fendi. Or do we know Big Fendi?
I don't know Big Fendi.
Okay,
but he did do an apology on Instagram.
He released a mea culpa apologizing to the school's principal, as well as the councilman who had initially agreed to help put the event on. I deeply apologize, he said. The content of this video you knew nothing about. We were doing the event and things went a little left and out of control. And I take full responsibility for that because you guys had no knowledge what these girls would be wearing.
Hey, you take what the event gives you, man.
That's
you
right.
Go where it takes you. Here's also what he said. We were doing it. Okay, so you read that part. I want to apologize to the parents, students for affecting anybody else that was involved. My deepest apologies. Hopefully this helps.
The event was going to charge anywhere from $500 to $500 for admission.
Yeah,
and promised $10,000 to the winning team. It will be rescheduled for a different venue.
Really?
So Nuttin' But AZZ goes on.
Well, I think there's going to be a bidding war now.
Would you bid for the Nuttin' But AZZ tournament?
I think it sounds perfect for one of our many local arenas.
That's right. Liberty First Credit Union. Nuttin' But AZZ.
Probably just not a local high school.
That's right. That's the problem.
Yeah, you want to keep it out of the high school.
You can do the event. The event is fine.
It's very unique.
It just can't be sanctioned by a school district, or probably a local politician should stay away as well.
It's very unique. That's for sure.
It is.
I bet there is an audience.
Oh, I'm sure there's an audience. Have you been to Newark?
I have actually not really been to Newark.
Okay.
No.
Those animals would love Nuttin' But AZZ.
So I'm looking forward to wherever this lands.
I'm sure it's going to get a huge TV contract now.
Text from the 202.
Hi, 202.
You talking about Pornhub going away? I don't know anything about that. Oh yeah, me too. I don't.
Josh Peterson has told me many things about it. That guy's dialed into it.
He is on the topic alerts. That is for sure. All right. Thank you, Josh.
Thank you, Connor.
We'll come back. I got a little something from Matt Rhule yesterday. I have some video for you. And we'll talk about why I think Matt Rhule is so happy right now.
Oh.
And it's the same reason that you guys were so sad last year. There's a tease. Ooh. Steve Sipple will join us after that. It's a Friday in the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
Live from the Host Coffee Studio, this is 1620 The Zone.
Shop Sid Dillon Chevrolet, Nebraska's #1 volume Chevy dealer group. Visit us in Blair, Crete, Fremont, or Wahoo, or shop at SidDillonChevy.com. Together, let's drive.
You are what drives us. Sid Dillon.
Hey, you hear that? That's the sound of loose change in your pocket reminding you to buy a 99-cent medium fountain drink from Casey's. So the next time you hear this, you already know where to go. 99-cent medium fountain drinks. It's not crazy. It's Casey's.
Certified Transmission built its reputation on the job done right.
It means hard work, honesty, and integrity.
And together, we ensure our customers leave satisfied and worry-free.
Certified Transmission, the job done right at the right price.
Host is roasting every morning. Host is roasting every day.
How does Host Coffee provide the best coffee for your workplace? By finding the richest and most robust coffee beans from all around the world and bringing them to our Nebraska roastery, where your coffee is roasted fresh and delivered straight to you.
Proudly serving Nebraska since 1972. Host Coffee is always roasting something good for you.
Hi, we're the Goo Goo Dolls. We're fortunate that we can give our daughters everything they need to grow and learn. But not every child can focus on classes and play dates.
Nearly 13 million kids in the U.S. face hunger. That's 1 in 6. School lunch might be their only meal each day, and it's heartbreaking to imagine any child going to bed hungry. We're dreaming of a perfect day when kids can smile, play, and just be kids without worrying about where their next meal will come from. Feeding America is working to make that perfect day a reality.
Each year, the Feeding America network of food banks rescues billions of pounds of good food that would have gone to waste. That food is given to families and children in need. Being a kid should be about doing things that make an ordinary day extraordinary. Learning to play an instrument, building a sandcastle, hosting tea parties. Hunger should never be an obstacle to growing up.
You can help end childhood hunger in your community by visiting feedingamerica.org.
Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Howdy, Greg Wagner joining you from the Nebraska Game and Parks Commission. Time now for another Nebraska Outdoor Update. Hey, planning a trip to a state park? One of Nebraska's 76 state park lands? Excellent. But don't forget your state park permit, money for camping fees and other activities, a fishing permit if you want to wet a line, and oh yeah, a 6-foot leash for Scruffy, your pet. Thank you, and we hope to see you out there. By the way, you can get all kinds of information on the Nebraska State Park lands through the Game and Parks website. That web address is outdoornebraska.gov. Are you going fishing? I thought so. For proper catch and release fishing this season to ensure fish survival, I want you to remember these important things. Land the fish as quickly as possible. Handle the fish as little as possible. Keep the fish in the water as much as possible. And release the fish as fast as possible. Enjoy your fishing experience, and we'll see you out there. I'm Greg Wagner with Nebraska Game and Parks.
Tickets for less. Best seats, best prices, no service fees. Shop ticketsforless.com. KOZN Bellevue, Omaha, Council Bluffs. This is 1620 The Zone. Let's get back to the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
As we know, our own Josh Hodson is very into the comings and goings of the Olympic swim trials.
That's right.
Have you seen the news today? That
today.
Matthew Centrowitz, you know this guy?
No, I'd have to see how the name is spelled.
Centrowitz, Centrowitz. From what I've been able to put together, he is a swimmer.
Okay, it's a good start.
Hopefully that helps. But he says he can no longer swim this week at the trials because he got sick and then he messed up his hamstring. And so he will not be getting his fairy tale ending. And basically his career is over.
I have a picture of a Centrowitz who appears to be a runner.
I think this is about running now.
Okay.
Yes, this is now about running.
Okay, that's why I haven't heard of him.
Uh-huh. Yep.
He's
So you don't care about running?
He's not on my heat sheets. No.
It just got retweeted onto my timeline, and I thought, this is about the Olympics. Josh must like this.
I mean,
also, it makes a lot of sense because the Olympic swim trials are happening right now and not this week.
That's right. Final 3 days.
And definitely they're not happening in Eugene, Oregon.
No, definitely not.
Okay. All right. So that makes sense.
Have you heard they're in a football stadium?
No, it's a... Well, don't they have a special track stadium up there?
The swim trials are in a football
stadium.
Oh,
yeah.
Have you heard?
I have heard about this. They set the world record.
They sure did, Connor.
Suck it, Omaha.
Yep. They sure showed us.
They really did. Now the next thing we have to do is build big football stadium and put the Olympic trials there. It's coming. It's coming. The SEC championship game, which is coming up this weekend, SEC championship series, the Tennessee Volunteers and the Texas A&M Aggies. The coaches have done their cool little picture with their handshake in front of the trophy. Schloss has his full uniform on, number 22. Tony V just put a tracksuit on and came to the press conference. Interesting. What do we think? Do we think Tony V's, does that mean he's more or less locked in to the game? Maybe Tony V could say, I don't care about winning the press conference. I just care about winning the baseball games.
Yeah.
And Schloss could say, look at me. I'm in full uniform. I'm locked in. I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. Very interesting. Could be one way, could be the other.
I mean, we're definitely going to make it a thing.
No, we're not.
No?
We're actually never going to talk about this again, but I just thought that I would mention it. All right, Matt Rhule yesterday.
I'm sorry, who?
Matt Rhule.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that guy.
That's that guy. The man of "If we die, we die" fame. That guy.
If we die, we die.
Yes, you now know who I'm talking about.
I'm familiar.
All right. He spoke to the media yesterday. He said a variety of different things, including he doesn't really like where his office is located. I'm noting that one. I'm putting a pin in that one for the future.
Might come back to it.
He was asked about his wide receiver group, and I have a theory, so stick with me here. Let's bring up the video from yesterday. Also, listener beware, he talks about murder in this clip. Have you heard the murder clip yet, Josh?
I don't think I have.
Interesting. All right. Here is Matt Rhule yesterday at his press conference.
Do your best work in the first year. You do your best work in losing seasons. The losing seasons bring everyone together so you can have more success moving forward. So I'm expecting that group to be really good. If we want to be good, we're going to be able to run the ball. But we're not going to be able to run the ball into some of the boxes we saw last year. And we couldn't last year. We had to run it without running a quarterback. And so we'll be able to run the quarterback, but we don't want to live on that. We want to be able to line up and run the ball versus two high safety looks. And if you try to play one high or you try to zone pressure us, we're going to absolutely murder you. And you need players to do that.
Thoughts?
He said we're going to murder you.
We're going to absolutely murder you.
Wow.
You like that?
I kind of do.
If we die, we die.
Yeah. Tough guy football.
Okay, so he brings up a good point. I've had some consternation about the run game. There's like a bunch of topics that I want to bring up from this topic alert. But he brings up a good point where I've had some consternation about Nebraska's run game. Like, how do they replace all this quarterback running production that they're not going to have this year? And he said, still, by the way, we're going to run the quarterback a little bit. I don't know about that. But like they need to displace a lot of the yards in their offense. But what he said was, making the case, doesn't it make it easier to run the ball since we have a quarterback who could beat you over the top a little bit?
Mm-hmm.
If you come down in that box, we're going to, and I quote, absolutely murder you.
Yeah, let's murder.
We're going to absolutely murder you. And if Nebraska sees this, like, part of the reason why Nebraska wasn't very good at running the ball last year in a traditional sense was because they saw the boxes that they saw, and they know that they couldn't. So they had to do some other stuff, and they had to run the quarterback, and they had to take, design up those deep shots and everything like that. Basically what he's telling you is, hey, if we have good wide receivers who can make plays, and if we have a quarterback who can make passes down the field, we're going to be able to do everything a lot better, which shouldn't be a surprise to anybody. That is true. But I want to talk about this piece. So what he said at the beginning there. In fact, let me just run back the beginning part of this. Josh, can you cue this up again real quick?
Yeah, just a second here.
I'm gonna run the beginning part of this back, just real quick, because remember, he's asked about the wide receiver group and their kind of development, and we'll play the start. But we'll actually play the whole thing again because I want to hear him say murder again.
You do your best work in the first year. You do your best work in losing seasons. The losing seasons bring everyone together so you can have more success moving forward. So I'm expecting that group to be really good. If we want to be good, we're going to be able to run the ball. but we're not going to be able to run the ball into some of the boxes we saw last year. And we couldn't last year when we had to run it without running a quarterback. And so we'll be able to run the quarterback, but we don't want to live on that. We want to be able to line up and run the ball versus 2 high safety looks. And if you try to play 1 high or you try to zone pressure us, we're going to absolutely murder you. And you need players to do that.
Too. If you're watching along with us on zonetv.live, we're going to absolutely murder you.
Little.
Can we just save that clip forever right there? We're going to like Dwight Schrute getting up and giving the Mussolini speech at the award banquet. We're going to absolutely murder you.
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
I like the way he talks.
I do too. It's really, really nice. So I think the bigger piece of this is this. I was listening to him talk about the development of some of those freshmen and the young guys last year, and a thought popped into my head. I think they would have loved to go to a bowl game last year. I think they would have loved to find a way to win one of those Final Four games, and I think that they expected to. But I think he loves that they just had to really figure it out last year. And while they were figuring it out, all these players, some of these players developed, and some of those players that ended up playing pivotal roles last year for Nebraska are not even going to be expected to play pivotal roles this year. I mean, Heinrich Harburg is one of them. I mean, all the experience he got last year, and then like, how comfortable do you feel right now putting him on the field, not as your starting quarterback, but as a gadget player with the ball in his hands? Very, in my opinion.
Definitely.
Very. That's just an example of that. Jalyn Lloyd, who does not figure to be, I guess depending on who you ask, does not figure to be one of Nebraska's top 2 wide receivers this year, was basically Nebraska's only offensive weapon for periods of time last year. He doesn't have to shoulder the load that he shouldered last year. I think Matt Rhule loves that they had to just figure out a way to get what they got last year. We've talked about this before, and the more time goes on, the more you think, man, maybe that was a team that actually overachieved instead of underachieved to get to what they got last year. I think he views everything that happened last year as a positive. And you've seen the other 2 first years in Matt Rhule's college head coaching tenure and how crappy they've been. And like I said, like, this is not part of the plan. You don't go in thinking you're going to lose, but that's essentially his method of tearing it down to the studs. Our development starts, our program starts where it starts, right? You don't get to like after you've figured some. I'd love him to make tweaks, right? But after year 1, you don't get to start over again. Like, you start where you start, and I think they felt like last year that they got a great foundation laid underneath their feet, and now they get the opportunity to say, when they make this big quote unquote jump this year, however many wins it is, whether it's 2, 3, 4, 5, who knows? It will be a surprise to everyone but him and the people in that locker room. I think in his mind, they went through exactly what they needed to go through last year. And that sets up the confidence. Like, think about if they win 2 out of those last 4 and they go 7-5 last year. And people are a little bit happier around here. Sure, I guess, or maybe a little bit more confident. Maybe you feel like you're over that mental hurdle, which I want to talk about here in just a second, because you won 2 out of those 4 close games that you ended up losing at the end of the season. But I think in Rhule's mind, it's like, yeah, man, we still got a long ways to go, and he's almost trying to kind of temper down expectations at that point, because the expectation would be to go from 7 to 9 or 7 to 10, or something like that. And I don't think he thinks about it in pure win, like he doesn't. But I think he has a pretty good idea of what they're capable of this year. And people are going to start to see that they're going to make a jump, and he won't not be, he'll tell you when this starts happening this year and they're 6-1 or they're 5-2 or they're 7-0 and everybody's lauding them and they're like, wow, look at Matt Rhule. Look at the job that he's done.
What a turnaround.
Well, you know what he's going to say? Bookmark this. You know what he's going to say? He's going to say, this is not new. We were doing this last year.
I saw this from my guys last year.
We set this, we laid the seeds for this last year, and now we're watering it, and now it's growing.
I saw this against Minnesota.
This does not happen without last year. That's what he's going to say.
He found the floor, he found the bones of the house, and now he can upgrade.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. That thought popped in my head a lot yesterday while he was talking. He said some other things too.
Murder.
He talked about murder a little bit. And then there's still that mental hurdle, I think, that has kind of gone away, right? It definitely popped up a lot last year. I think I think the only way you truly get rid of it is if you just kind of continue to work like Rhule's thing every day is, hey, we're gonna get better at today. We're not gonna worry about all this big picture stuff. But for Nebraska football, it's been around for a long time, and you don't know until you know. How worried are you still? Is my question to you about that mental hurdle. They're going to be in close games yet again. Spoiler alert. Did they do enough maybe not prove it, but did they do enough last year from the foundational standpoint to feel like they are a mentally tough enough group to be able to not make back-breaking mistakes in those moments this year? I don't know what Rhule thinks about that yet. I don't know if you could even evaluate that during the summer. But he's definitely treating this team differently. One thing he said when he went on, and I mentioned this earlier, right before BC came on with us, he mentioned with Sipple and Sean yesterday in their little interview on the Husker Online show. Last year when they went into full fall camp, they're doing the dorms thing again. They're going to do the dorms thing. Team bonding. Everybody wants to be on campus, and it's about a bigger thing than us. And
don't prank McGuire.
Yep, Coach Tiny Baby Boy is going to get a lot of cups in his room and stuff like that. They'll do that whole thing again. But remember what they were doing last year as far as how they structured practice. They practiced twice a day. Half the team, the younger guys had a practice, and then the older guys had a practice. I don't know exactly how they split that, but the younger guys had a practice. The older guys had a practice. They had a developmental practice and then an older guy practice during camp. They're not going to do that anymore. Rhule said they're not doing that anymore. They are, you're never out of developmental mode, but now, like last year, and Rhule talked about this part of it yesterday too, about the locations that he's been the coach in. We're in Texas and it's 190 degrees. And so we're going to run, and we're going to have 3 teams. We're going to do that whole thing. Now he talks about how they're in the Big Ten. He talked a lot about weather yesterday. But I think one of his strengths as a coach is evaluating the situation that he's in, AKA reading the room, not just talking about weather, not just talking about playing in the Big Ten, not just in the state of Nebraska, but that also means having a really good grasp on what your team can and can't do, what they can and cannot handle. And so for him to say, no, we are bringing everybody back together. We are going out of quote unquote development mode and we are going into win mode, basically, where we need all hands on deck. There might be somebody from the younger group who's not going to get quite as many reps during fall camp, but we might have to use them during a game. I think that says something about how he's treating this team. Maybe I think that is a probably pretty general year 1 to year 2 transition from Rhule, but think about how he treated that team last year. It was a first year group. Everybody's getting familiar with themselves. Now everybody comes back and they kind of know what to do. I think that is one of the things that I appreciate about him the most. He has a really good feel for what he has on his team. And I think you'll continue to hear more things like that throughout kind of the summer. There was some interesting stuff in there from Rhule yesterday.
He loves tinkering. He loves getting in there, like the work of it all.
Oh yeah. He likes I think he likes testing guys too. I think he likes seeing what they're made of. He likes challenging people.
Like the games are almost like secondary to him.
Absolutely. I think you're absolutely correct.
I'm going to make you better.
You get the tests. That's what everybody sees, but you're going to be ready for the tests. That's for sure. Why not? Hoiberg writes in.
Why not Hoiberg?
To be fair, a couple of those losses can be blamed on play calling late in games. Okay, so we could do that. We could, but look at. I don't want to defend them at every turn. Yes, of course, there were some shortcomings in management and stuff like that last year, but think about what they had.
He was tanking so they wouldn't go to a bowl game. Okay, I get it.
Yeah, I mean, I think in his mind, and we've talked about this before, like Satterfield's like victory lap that he's going to have this year. People were way out on that guy last year, and that doesn't mean you have to be in on him, but the expectations are undoubtedly going to get raised because they have better situation. They have better wide receivers. They have a much better quarterback. And because of that, they're going to have a run game. Like they're going to be able to do normal offense things this year. And so what effect does that have on play calling late? What effect does that have on game management late? Like you hope that doesn't expose itself again, but I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt going into year 2 because of how vastly different the situation is and how much better of a football team just generally they should be. And by the way, I mean, as we've talked about, they don't have to be a whole lot better than they were last year to get to a bowl game, right? But I think we all agree that this is a better football team than it was last year. Almost like, can we get 100% approval rate on that? Nebraska's going to be like, if you take schedule out, if you take opponents out, and you just say
pure eye test.
Yeah, you just say, here's this football team, here's what they are on paper, and here's their depth and all that stuff. Look at their roster and look at what they have compared to snapshot image of last year football team. Like, can we get 100% agreement that this one is better than the last? I would expect that we would get very close. Very close.
Very close.
So you combine all these things together, and yeah, it's not hard to see why people are a little bit optimistic about it this year. We'll hit on this topic and more with our good friend Steve Sipple of Husker Online coming up on the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
Previously on Unsportsmanlike Conduct.
The bottom line is, for 6 months of YouTube TV, 5 of Prime Video, 1 month each of Peacock, ESPN Plus, and Netflix, comes to a grand total of $506.86. And then if you want to add the Sunday ticket, you're looking at $855 if you want access to every single NFL game played this season.
Unsportsmanlike Conduct with John Bishop and Josh Peterson. Weekdays 2 to 6 on 1620 The Zone. Your Omaha area forecast presented by Funplex Water Park and Rides from the KETV Newswatch 7 Weather Center on 1620 The Zone.
Summer heat is back as we close out the week. Friday, expect mostly sunny, hot, humid, and breezy conditions. South wind gusting up to 25 miles per hour. Expect highs around 90 with feels-like temperatures in the mid-90s. I'm meteorologist Sean Everson from KETV Newswatch 7.
Roofing, siding, and gutters. Make the right call with the rooferees at John Higgins Weather Guard.
Whether you own a local business or a global one, you know that these days, generating growth is a challenge. By teaming with Bank of America, you'll not just stay ahead of the curve, you'll move it. With access to experts, award-winning insights, and business solutions so powerful, you'll make every move matter, locally and globally. Visit bankofamerica.com/banking for business to learn more. What would you like the power to do? Copyright 2024 Bank of America N.A.
At Cox Mobile, we know you're smart. You brush your teeth in the shower to save time, make coffee ice cubes for your cold brew, and wear goggles to cut onions. You also added Cox Mobile. So smart. Now you're running on the network with unbeatable 5G reliability and saving on your Cox internet. It's ingenious, just like you. Aw, thanks. Cox Mobile, the smart way to mobile. Cox postpaid internet required. Cox Mobile runs on the network with unbeatable 5G reliability as measured by Ookla LLC in the U.S. to H 2023. Other restrictions apply. Learn more at cox.com/mobile.
Getting quality employees to fill positions in your company is essential, but finding those people can be a major hassle, unless you use ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter makes finding quality people a breeze. And right now you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. With ZipRecruiter, one click sends your job to hundreds of top job sites. But more than that, ZipRecruiter's advanced technology identifies the candidates with the skills you need, sends you a list of great matches to review, then actively invites them to apply for your job. And the results speak for themselves. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. That's right, the first day. Now you can focus on your business and let ZipRecruiter do the work finding the best people for you. See for yourself. Experience the ease, efficiency, and power of ZipRecruiter for free. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter.com/radio.
Steve Sipple,
Hut, hut, hey!
The conversation gets even more uncomfortable, okay?
Omaha! Steve Sipple on the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
And we are joined on the 42 Degrees of Source hotline by our dear, dear friend, Steven M Sipple of HuskerOnline.com. Sipple, good afternoon. How are you?
Oh, pretty good. My sense is you're doing a great job, Happer, at the College World Series.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. We're back in studio today, but it's appreciated.
Yeah, you're back in, so it's very confusing. But here we are.
I forgot to text you last week that we that we didn't need you, but it looks like you made it out alive still on Friday without talking.
Yeah,
to us.
because I'm always hit and miss anyway, so don't ever worry about that on your end. God, I mean, thanks for saying it, but you really don't need to. So here we are.
Here we are.
We can talk.
Hey, so you had Matt Rhule on your Husker Online show yesterday, and he gave you the news that Jalyn Gramstad would be joining, and I watched that, and I watched your guys' reaction. It was very funny. It was very funny. You guys trying to scramble and get the tweet out, and then Matt Rhule calling you out for it. Yes, you were.
No, hold on, Happer. I want to clarify. I was not. All I was doing to Sean is saying, ask him about it, because you do this thing with the coach. You kind of got scripted questions. I was like, just you keep asking him about that. That was the signal. No, I wasn't. I don't know what Rhule meant by that.
Well, you guys had quite the reaction to when he said it out loud the first time. You kind of looked at Sean, and Sean was like, "Whoa, what's going on? What do we do with this?" I mean, it was pretty funny.
Yeah, there was an element of that. Like, he breaking news here.
He was. He
kind of was, but I think that Gramstad then kind of simultaneously almost put out his own. I don't know what he did on social media. Was it Instagram or Twitter or whatever the hell it was? But he put out something almost simultaneously.
Okay. And his name is spelled Jaylyn. Big boy.
Jalyn.
Jalyn. Big boy.
I dropped the big boy on somebody.
I can't believe you did that. I can't believe you doubled down on that guy and you were wrong both times.
I know. Double down, wrong, bad look, called him big boy. The whole thing was incredibly embarrassing. But I don't know, in the context of Twitter, you can kind of rationalize it away a little bit. Like, yeah, it's just Twitter. It's just ugly.
Yeah.
I joined the Twitter ugliness for about 15 minutes.
That's okay. It's okay. You're not around the ugliness very much. It's fine. We give you a break. It's funny. It's Sipple, so it's funny.
Big boy.
I'm gonna start calling people big boy now. Josh has been calling me big boy around the office when I get stuff wrong over the last few days.
That was a Peliniism. I got that from Pelini. He would drop big. Yeah, he was great at it too.
You sure about that, big boy?
Yeah. Okay, big boy.
I'm glad that Bo's legacy could live on with the term big boy.
Yeah, Big boy was one of them for sure.
All right. There was a lot of interesting stuff from Rhule yesterday. We were just talking about how he was asked about his wide receiver room, and then he also used the word murder after that. How confident? Well, I don't know. I guess this is a bigger picture question, but like, how confident do you feel like he feels in his group right now? Maybe compared to where they were about a year ago.
Well, I mean, a lot more confident. You can go through the injuries in your head. They got hit pretty hard with injuries at receiver. Castaneda and Washington come to mind right away. They didn't have much depth going in at receiver, and then they got hit. So no, it's markedly better. And when you add in the tight ends, if you're going to here's one way to get excited about the season. This team does have deficiencies for sure, but if you're looking for the other side of the coin, if you have this vision in your head of a quarterback who's going to be pretty good, he will be. Dylan's a good quarterback. I don't mind saying it. And he's got these very strong options, and most of them, or a few of them at least, we'll say a few of them, are already accomplished. They've already done it. Fedoni had 25 catches last year. That whole Fedoni picture is big. They're going to go through the tight end position more. Fedoni's a 25 catch, 4 touchdown tight end last year, and I could see those numbers going up pretty dramatically this year. Then you add in Jamal Banks, who's a proven weapon at a high level, second team All ACC. You do have a proven weapon in Isaiah Nayor, who's, now granted, it didn't go that well at Texas for him, but at Wyoming, he caught 12 touchdown passes in a single season. And that number alone should get everybody's attention. Got 12 touchdown passes in a single season. And he has come on. Anybody you talk to in the program would say he's in a good head space. And probably because he's going to be a starter, or he's definitely got to be one of the guys. Then you got Jalen Lloyd, who's you'd say proven and probably poised to move to a higher level. Malachi Coleman, proven, poised to move to a higher level, 6'3", by the way, 200. So you got Banks 6'4", Malachi 6'3", Nayor 6'2", 6'3". Banks might be 6'3". I haven't measured them, but they're all bigger bodied receivers. Alex Bullock, you forget about, but proven, 15 catches last year. And then the excitement of Carter Nelson, which they got to get him. They got to get him going on the field to get that started, because he's going to be a weapon right out of the chute. And I would say a significant weapon. So they got a lot. I mean, they should be able to use. I hate to put it this way, and I don't even know if Rhule would agree with me on that. I think you can use. I don't know that he would want me to put it this way, but I think you can use that passing game to open up your running game.
Mm-hmm. No, I think he would. I mean, he almost said as much yesterday. He said
He kind of did.
Yeah, with the whole too high safety. We're gonna murder you if you have single high. We're gonna murder you over the top. I think that's basically what you're talking about.
Yeah, and again, it kind of comes back to quarterback play, and I do think there's an excitement in the program because I think they know what they got. They just don't say it much. They kind of say it. That's the value of going to a place like Belton and Houston and just being away from the fray. You got to kind of picture that you're down there in Texas and nobody, there's nobody but me and Sean. There's not a big media contingent. So you get a way better feel for everything. And one of the things that you come to understand is inside the program, they're really confident in Dylan. I mean,
yep,
that they're going to have good quarterback play.
Do you think? I was sort of playing with this idea in the last segment. I got the sense from him yesterday, and I have, I guess, this entire offseason, that I think he loves what they had to go through last year without what they had. I don't think in an ideal world, like, they wouldn't have gone to a bowl game, or they would have had all those injuries, or Sims would have worked out the way he did. Like, obviously that's not your first preference, but I think in his mind, it almost helps. It definitely does help their development, because he got other guys in the game last year, and they feel like that positions them better for this year, for how poorly it went last year. Like, that's always the vibe that I've gotten from him in sort of how it goes from a year one perspective, because they're treating this squad, they're treating this team and this group of guys a little bit differently.
Yeah, and partly because they did inject some pieces. But yeah, I agree. I mean, I think it can be helpful. It'd be a hard sell. I kind of picture Satterfield listening to this and going, "Yeah, I'm glad we went through last year." That'd be a hard sell to him. I mean, it was hard. It was a really hard year for the offensive staff, and I'd say particularly Marcus Satterfield. It's easier for us to divorce ourselves from that kind of world and say, "Yeah, that was good for him." If you're going through it, it's you can tell when you talk to him. It's still, I mean, it was a hard year for Satterfield. Trying to, well, the way Rhule says it's triage that together. And I'll write some stuff about Satterfield when I get to it from Belton. But he said it was hard. It was really hard because a lot of times you were going into games with stuff you had hardly practiced because of the injury situation. So you were trying to run some things that you just hadn't even really worked on very much. Now, and you're doing that against Big Ten defenses. I can't imagine the stress, And there were, of course, then there's people, I don't know how loud the cry was, but there's, of course, then your job comes up,
Yep.
People talk about firing him, and Sipple's criticizing the quarterback play, and in the media, and Happer's doing it on the radio and all that. So it adds up. But I get where you're coming from. Guys like Jalen Lloyd benefited, Malachi benefited, Emmett Johnson, maybe above all, benefited. But yeah, there's quite a few players you could put in that category.
Where do you think? Because this was the other thing that came out of that conversation that we were having. One thing that came up last year a lot was sort of the mental hurdle, and as much as Rhule, I think he downplayed it a little bit. He was also, we talked about this last year, like he was a little surprised by players' reactions to things and whatever might happen come up during a season. I wonder if that's a thing that they directly address, that they directly talk about, or something that they feel like is just going to dissipate with their work as they go toward the season.
You mean how they react to adversity, that sort of thing?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I don't think that ever dissipates. I mean, not in this world. I mean, because they address this. One of the support staff, Gus Felder, I think he's the director of player personnel. I always get those titles messed up, but man, he had an interesting sort of soliloquy about how difficult it is for athletes, college and pro, to deal with social media, and it's real. I'm tempted to write what he said. It's real. Like, it's what somebody in the media, or various people in the media or fans, what they say on social media about a player can have a profound effect on the player. And so my answer to your question is no, it's not going to dissipate. That's not going away, because the minute there's adversity, it's going to hit on social media, and then the players have to deal with that, and they deal with it. They have to. I mean, Pro Football Focus is a problem with players in the NFL. It's a legitimate problem. That these grades come out, if they're bad, it can turn a guy south quick. It's very real, and it's fascinating. It's obviously, I hate to say that because I make it sound like lab rats, but it's a really unfortunate part of our world. Really unfortunate, but they have to learn how to deal with it. But that's a long answer to your question, but no, that is not going away easily.
I thought it was really interesting what he said to you guys on the Husker Online show afterwards, after the press conference yesterday, about how they're going to approach fall camp and the practices, and how they set it up last year with the 2 practices, and how they're not doing that anymore. I thought that was sort of intriguing, and another good, sort of anecdote on how kind of what they expect this year and how they're treating this group as it compares to last year's group.
Yeah, there probably wasn't a need for it as much this year in year 2. It's interesting from the standpoint that he's making adjustments. They are going back in the dorm, which I don't know. I guess I was a little surprised by that.
Yeah, I kind of thought that was a year 1 thing too.
Yeah, thanks, Happer. And I know it wasn't easy. I mean, all you have to do is go back and listen to the players' comments from it. I think that there was definitely, you would hear players say there were benefits, but it wasn't like a lot of things in life. The hard things you do are probably the most beneficial, but they're not necessarily fun and comfortable. And that's, I think, the dorm thing. So they're going to go back into the dorms, which I'm like, that's kind of what, really? They're going back in? Okay. But yeah, it all adds up into an intriguing picture. And yeah, Rhule yesterday, just as a whole, between the two appearances, was really good. There's a lot to write about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there was a bunch of good stuff in there, and we look forward to all of it from you guys and everybody else over at Husker
I'll probably
Online.
write some stuff on Sunday, actually.
Sounds good. Well, I assume you've just been sitting plopped over at the College World Series for the last 10 days, right? You as a lover of the College World Series.
No, I'm not going to do this thing. I'm fine with the College World Series. I just don't, I follow it from afar.
Yeah. You know who's in the final?
Like Bill Callahan followed Nebraska football when he was in the NFL. I followed it from afar. I think he was actually talking about the Nebraska-Kansas State rivalry that he followed from afar. I follow it from afar, Happer, but I respect it, and I know that A&M and Tennessee are in the final.
There you go. Yeah, Trev Alberts has a chance to bring home a national championship.
Yeah, isn't that wonderful?
It is. It is. Sipple, enjoy your weekend, my friend. Great to talk to you.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Hap. See you later.
Steve Sipple of HuskerOnline.com. Always a joy. Wait, you never know. You're going to get a Bill Callahan impression out of him. That was pretty good. I followed it from afar.
We always go to places I don't expect.
I know.
Steven M Sipple.
I know. I love that guy. Man, just fantastic stuff. As always, I got to come up with a fake Sipple one of these times. It always just builds up on me, and I always forget to ask him a random question. There'll be time. Quick time out here. How about we check in on baseball, not college baseball? The MLB Rick Wood game last night. A few things from that. Highlighted by Reggie Jackson. Highlighted by Bob Kendrick. Highlighted by Barry Bonds.
Hello.
Did you happen to see what Barry Bonds said last night?
He said many things.
Yeah, he doesn't go on television a lot. He doesn't do a lot, but he was, as the godson of Willie Mays, a representative at that game. And he went on the Fox show, and they asked him, what would you do? What would happen if you faced Satchel Paige? And he said, and I quote, simple, gone. He said he would just very easily hit a dong off of Satchel Paige.
Gone.
Never heard anybody that confidently say that they could hit a home run off of Satchel Paige before.
You'd read about it on ESPN. Back
after this on 1620 The Zone.
Now live on Twitch, YouTube, and 1620thezone.com.
If there's one thing that you can count on every spring, it's that we're going to have to deal with some hail. J-Tech Construction is the company to call to make it right again. J-Tech Construction specializes in siding, roofing, windows, and gutters, even solar. They're trained for insurance claims assistance, and they can help with your insurance company. Turn to the team the Huskers turn to, J-Tech Construction. Use your favorite search engine to find J-Tech Construction online and schedule a free estimate today.
Funplex has asked me to give you a first-hand account of the all-new for 2024 Wipeout attraction. Okay, hit it. We're starting up. Spinning a little now. Whoa, a lot. The centrifugal force is starting to stretch my face. Holy this thing's fast. Whoa, it's tilting. We have tilting. Woohoo, this is awesome. You got to try this. Get your tickets now at fun-plex.com.
Every business faces challenges, but complicated, expensive, and uncertain shipping shouldn't be one of them. With USPS Ground Advantage from the United States Postal Service, you can avoid all the noise. No more unexpected surcharges, hidden fees, or complex rate structures. It's just easy, cost-effective, and dependable shipping. Tune your business's frequency to success and turn shipping to your advantage. Learn how at USPS.com/advantage. USPS Ground Advantage. Simple, affordable, reliable.
Hi, this is Doug Nodgard with Equitable Bank. Great service never goes out of style. When the digital age dawned, many said computers would be able to handle many of the interactions that used to take a person. Boy, were they wrong. How many times have you called your bank and gotten a recording to press 1 or 2? Not at Equitable. Not only does Equitable answer your call in the first ring, it's answered by a human being. That's because Equitable Bank values its customers. Equitable Bank, we take banking personally. Member FDIC.
Hi, we're the Goo Goo Dolls. We're fortunate that we can give our daughters everything they need to grow and learn. But not every child can focus on classes and play dates.
Nearly 13 million kids in the U.S. face hunger. That's 1 in 6. School lunch might be their only meal each day, and it's heartbreaking to imagine any child going to bed hungry. We're dreaming of a perfect day when kids can smile, play, and just be kids without worrying about where their next meal will come from. Feeding America is working to make that perfect day a reality.
Each year, the Feeding America network of food banks rescues billions of pounds of good food that would have gone to waste. That food is given to families and children in need. Being a kid should be about doing things that make an ordinary day extraordinary. Learning to play an instrument, building a sandcastle, hosting tea parties. Hunger should never be an obstacle to growing up.
You can help end childhood hunger in your community by visiting feedingamerica.org.
Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
The smarter way to clean your floors. It's time to make the swap. Swiffer Power Mop.
Introducing the new Swiffer Power Mop, the all-in-one tool that gives you a mop and bucket clean in half the time. The solution's built right in, so no heavy bucket, and the pad has hundreds of scrubbing strips to get deep into grout. Don't mop harder, mop smarter.
Swiffer Power Mop. Swiffer Power Mop.
I'm a pretty great multitasker. I can wash dishes and do laundry. I can roller skate while walking my dog. I can even order lunch while doing my homework. But I can't use my phone while driving. A distracted driver is one of the leading causes of death in the United States. So when it comes to driving, please, don't be a multitasker.
Don't drive distracted. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
All right, welcome back. More of the Connor Happer Show. You're on 1620 The Zone and on 1620thezone.com. How about this? Look at this. Creighton basketball fans. So Mac got his building yesterday.
He did.
Congrats to Mac. Go practice at the Mac today. Former Blue Jay Cavell Witter is going to be an assistant coach / video and scouting coordinator at West Virginia. Remember Cavell Witter, Josh?
I don't.
You don't remember Cavell Witter?
I don't think so.
I'm going to say probably in the neighborhood of like 08, 09, maybe 2010, somewhere around there. Like late Dana.
9 to 10. Okay.
9 to 10. Was that his 1 year?
No.
07, 08, 08, 09, 09, 010. Look at that. Look at that. So late stage Altmanism for Cavell Witter. He was probably, I'm trying to think of those teams. He was an important role player. He scored 9 points a game his freshman year.
42 points against Bradley on March 1st, 2008, double overtime game.
That's right. Yes. Oh, yeah. That was the so what 2008 you said?
Right.
This is his freshman year. So, oh man, should I pull a box score from that game? That could be fun.
Do it. Do it.
We got P. Allen Stinnett. We got Dane Watts. We got Booker Woodfox. We got Cavell Witter. Hey, Josh, turn that down. Thanks. We got Cavell Witter. We got Kenny Lawson. We got Nick Baugh. We got Chad Millard. We got Casey Harriman. We got Josh Dotzler. We got Pierce Hibma.
I know a lot of those names.
We got Kent Walker. We got Caleb Corver. We got Aaron Brandt. We got Dusty Sitzman.
There's more than 5 guys that you just named. I don't know what the rotations were.
But you just don't remember Cavell Witter.
I don't.
For whatever reason.
I feel bad. I apologize to the Witter estate.
So February 16th, 08, that's the game in question here?
March 1st, 2008.
Or March 1st, 2008. Okay, so that was the home game. Against Bradley. Double overtime, 110, 111, 110.
Ooh.
Let's see. Yeah, Cavell Witter did not start that game.
Dropped 42.
Dropped 42. 13 of 20 from the field. Played 34 minutes. Starters that game: Dane Watts, Nick Baugh, Chad Millard, Kenny Lawson, Casey Harriman. Then P. Allen Stinnett, Cavell Witter, Booker Woodfox, Pierce Hibma, and Josh Dotzler off the bench. The bench,
That's a strong bench.
It's a great bench. The bench combined for, if you count Cavell Witter's 42, P. Allen Stinnett's 14 gets you to 56. Booker Woodfox's 13 gets you to 69. And Josh Dotzler's 4 gives you to 73 bench points. Hell yeah. Man, great times. Great times. Congrats to Cavell Witter for being a coach at West Virginia. Topic alert, indeed. MLB at Rickwood last night. So who stole the show? By the way, John emails in.
Hi, John.
Subject line: train. Is there a locomotive in studio? What just happened? This Josh just decided to bang my ears out one final time. So I'm going to kill this guy.
Just assumed it was done.
He did all those shows at the Omaha Baseball Village, and he got his ears blown out the whole time. And let's just put him to bed right now.
I'm going to murder him.
We can send him to the colendarium.
Matt Rhule got me thinking about murder.
So who won? Was it? Well, I mean, obviously there was the Royal Baseball, which is a very cool event. Sure. Reggie Jackson, Barry Bonds, or, of course, as I talked about, who I thought the guy would win this game the entire way through would be Negro Leagues Museum President Bob Kendrick, who just got on the air for several innings and just started saying stories. I could listen to those all day long.
All day.
The way he tells them is just artful. It's just so beautiful. Like, he knows these intricate, specific details. Either that or he makes them up. I don't think he makes them up because he tells them to everybody. Like, if you just happen to be walking through there in a day where nobody's there, he's there. Like, you can have those conversations with him about these stories that he's heard from over the years, and he could just bang, flat out, got him. Fantastic stuff from Bob Kendrick last night. I'm fortunate as a Royals fan to get a lot of Bob Kendrick every year, not just with the Royal Salute to the Negro Leagues game, but also he just invariably shows up at various times that the Royals do Dress to the Nines Day, where they throw on Monarchs jerseys and stuff like that. So it's been great to get to know Bob Kendrick a little bit over the last several years. I like Barry Bonds saying that he could take Satchel Paige deep.
I think he was the winner last night in my
You think Barry was the winner?
Yeah.
All right.
Because he doesn't come out much, and obviously he was going to come out for this, and maybe this is a path for him not to the Hall of Fame or anything
back
like
in,
but get back in the public eye, the good graces of the public.
Does he want to?
That's part of it for sure.
Is he at all interested in being in the good graces of anybody?
I actually don't think he cares either way.
I think he does care.
I think he doesn't like his current lot.
Oh, I don't know.
In the game.
I actually think that he loves it. He obviously wants more credit, but he's very good at being in the lane of, I don't care about any of you, and I'm a huge jerk. He was asked last night on the MLB on Fox pregame show as he's sitting there with Kevin Burkhardt, Alex Rodriguez, who else is up there? Big Papi,
and,
Jeets, Ed Griffey.
Mm-hmm.
What'd you do against Satchel Paige? He's like, come on, Jeter. You know it.
You know it.
Gone. I've never heard any person. We do a couple of things when we talk about like guys like Satchel Paige. Like we honor the dead.
We do.
You were just like, man, those guys were so good. And you always hear all these stories. Barry Bonds did not care about any of that. He was like, no, thank you. I think you guys know what I'm all about. And it's hitting piss missiles.
I also liked
dingers.
I also liked him saying, I would like to travel with Cool Papa Bell to see if I could get in bed before the light turned off. Like he just wants to take down all these mythological creatures.
It's so good. Because I think if like Barry Bonds was playing in that era, he would be the mythological person.
He would.
And now he feels like he could just do, It's like me saying I could fly a plane. He's like, all right, whatever.
I'm never going to actually be in this situation. So yeah, I would take Central.
I've heard all these weird, cool Papa Bell stories, and that's the one that Bob Kendrick always tells. He could be in bed before the lights turned out if he flipped off the switch. And Barry's like, all right, I bet I could do it better. I miss Barry Bonds.
Also,
it's like a unanimous. Everybody thinks this guy's a jerk, and he does not care.
But
at all.
It's a little bit of it is charming. Everyone, a sprinkle of Barry Bonds would be nice.
Yeah. Yes. I'm glad we got our little Barry sprinkle last night.
Also, something happened during that pregame show last night.
Yeah, go for it. Go ahead, Josh.
I love a changing of the guard. And last night, there was a changing of the guard.
Tell us about it.
Barry Bonds and Ken Griffey Jr. were handed the torch of elder statesman of the game last night.
Yeah.
They were the the awestruck players at the sight of Barry Bonds and Ken Griffey Jr.
We have lost a lot of legends recently.
You and Josh talking about this earlier this week. Greatest living baseball player. Like, oh, Willie Mays was 93. Surely the next best living baseball player is not. I think Barry Bonds said he's 59. Is that right? That doesn't sound right. That sounds too old. But like,
he's 59.
59.
59.
Like, surely there is not.
Barry Bonds will be 60 in like 3 weeks.
Surely there's not a 30+ year drop to find the next best living baseball player. And there is.
Yeah.
There is.
Interesting. I love that. Great take. You're right, because the way, I mean, it's a sign of us ourselves getting old as well. You're like, you almost don't want to believe it. You're like,
well, that was part of it.
I watched this guy's entire career. I watched him grow up, and I watched him as a kid, and then I watched him later on in his career. And then they come and go, and then they're gone for a few years, and you're like, oh my God, he's 60. Like, so yes, that is elder statesman territory. Now he's still like, he hasn't moved into the Willie Mays phase of like, they're rolling him out in a wheelchair.
Yeah. This isn't the 99 All-Star game. No. They're going to roll out Ken Griffey Jr. and everyone's going to be like, oh my gosh. Ooh.
But I remember people talking about those stories, or people watching, Willie Mays playing old timers games, and stuff like that. Like, he was that for a really, really long time for baseball, and especially for black baseball players. I mean, with those guys for sure. But I mean, more so than that, just baseball in general, the way people react to those guys and they see him as like, that is Ken Griffey Jr. He is the image.
Stand up straight, buddy.
The image of that. Yeah, this is Ken Griffey Jr. And I don't know that Barry loves that, because Barry still thinks he could kick everybody's ass.
Yeah.
Griffey
Barry absolutely thinks he could take Garrett Cole yard right now.
Griffey does a better job. God, look at him too. It looks like he can.
He
looks like he could.
There's a saying about.
Okay, Josh,
it's true.
But Griffey, Griffey has done, even though he's younger, right? Is Griffey younger than Barry?
He does not look it. I love Ken Griffey, favorite player, but
he is 5 years younger than Barry Bonds.
54. Look at that.
Yeah. It's almost like he is kind of embraced that. It's some of it is personality, right? He just, he's just a little bit more statesly, right? And he's one of those guys I could see aging really into that really well, because he has these great one-liners. What he says is almost magic, right? Barry, not so much. But you're right. I like that. Good take.
Thank you. Fox did a great job last night. The pregame was.
What'd you think of Reggie?
Wonderful. Reggie was great. I loved that. Big shout out to Fox for not editing his language last night, because in that exact instance, it's important to hear what Reggie had to go through.
Oh yeah,
in those scenarios. I've seen the clip on social media. You played it in our office this morning, and it was edited.
It was edited on social media.
And
yes.
I mean, that's fine, I guess, but it was a great night for baseball last night. Fox is going to win. I don't know how many Emmys they will be eligible for for all those video stories that they told, but every single one of them up and down the line was great last
I
night.
like to do with they've done this really well. Whatever specialty game they've done, the presentation of it. They had the kind of black and white, like split screen, high home camera thing going on. It's really cool for a one-off. They're showing it right now on MLB Network.
Oh yeah, the black and white half inning on the small TV.
Yeah.
The score bug was great last night.
Yeah,
it's uniforms.
It's just really fun to immerse yourself in that for one day. Major League Baseball really has something here with doing this type of thing once a year.
The only misstep,
taking the whole show on the road and taking the whole show on the road and putting it in a place like you're moving into a world, into a different world. It's really cool.
And it was stories that a lot of people have. It's not the same old stories you've heard a million times before last night. I think their only misstep was there was an interview with Paul Goldschmidt and hey, Paul Goldschmidt, what's this mean to you? I don't know. I'm a Cardinal. We're scheduled to play here today. Hi guys. Thanks everybody for coming out.
You gotta do a little of the groundwork on that one beforehand. Get some people that might have some interesting things to say. Thanks, Paul. I appreciate that. A lot of people commenting on the thing that you almost said, Josh.
What? I didn't.
They're agreeing with you for the record. They're agreeing with you.
Many are saying Josh was right. Put me in the Hall of Fame, cowards.
So I wonder where we go next. I say the moon. MLB on the moon next year.
Well,
where else could we go?
We obviously have to go back to the Field of Dreams once they renovate
Stupid,
it.
but fine.
Yeah, I don't need it, but we're gonna do it, so let's get okay with it.
The other thing about this game, and like I saw this going around last night, it does generate so much conversation about baseball, and then specifically the history. This is why this is the perfect thing for it. But I saw people suggesting last night that they should do this more often. They should do a game a month or a game a week or rotate through these locations.
That's too frequently.
I agree. I just don't think it works that way.
Maybe 2 a year.
It's hard.
Yeah.
I just think you want to unload it all in the one in the one game in the one day. So no, I don't think that they should do more of these, but I think they should explore more locations, whatever that looks like. I don't know what else is out there.
The birthplace of baseball, like the
Doubleday Field.
There has to be a place there, right?
They have a field. They have a. I mean, it's in Cooperstown. Have they done the Cooperstown?
I don't.
Thing yet?
I'm just brainstorming.
That kind of
here.
surprises me that they haven't done anything at Cooperstown.
Yeah. I like when they do the Williamsport game. That's fun.
Yep, that's good.
What else is there?
Game on the moon.
You might be right.
Game on the moon. Just telling you, it's coming up next. They'll figure something else out. And this is actually the one thing that we got to give it to Manfred and Co. on. This is good. Like baseball has done a good thing here.
Yeah, they did a phenomenal job last night, and my expectations were high going in.
Yeah. And they keep getting higher because these things keep doing well. They keep working out. The Field of Dreams game was perfect. Now, how much do we talk about the Field of Dreams game if it didn't end how it ended, which was with a walk-off home run?
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it feels a little bit different, but people around here certainly like the Field of Dreams game. All right.
Have you been to the Field of Dreams? If you're in town,
yeah.
It's an off day for the series.
By the way,
drive on over.
I had many people coming up to me this week and doing their Omaha due diligence and saying, "Have you been to the zoo?"
Good.
Just fulfill it. Just trying to abide by the law.
How are those zoo lines today? I'll bet they're long.
I bet they are too. A lot of orange and maroon.
Probably.
All right. We'll take a quick break. Any thoughts on that? Let us hear them. 402-951-1620. Back after this on 1620 The Zone.
The Connor Happer Show.
Who's pitching tonight?
Yu Darvish having a great year.
The Connor Happer Show.
I know about that guy.
On 1620 The Zone.
What a mess.
Live from the Host Coffee Studio. This is 1620 The Zone.
Introducing Modern Real Estate, the game changer in Nebraska's property market. With a competitive 2% commission rate, we're making buying, selling, and investing more affordable and transparent than ever. Our experienced agents blend local expertise with cutting-edge technology to provide top-notch personalized service to all clients. Don't settle for less when you can save big without compromising. Visit modernrealestateco.com and experience the future of real estate today. Modern Real Estate, redefining the way you do real estate.
The only downside to Taco Bell's Cravings value menu is having to decide. It's got 10 different favorites for $3 or less. How do I choose between the super beefy cheesy double beef burrito, the crunchy loaded beef nachos, the pillowy 3-cheese chicken flatbread, or I don't have time to list them all. I'll have to go to Taco Bell and try them. The Taco Bell Cravings value menu. 10 items, $3 or less. At participating U.S. stores while supplies last. Contact store for participation, which varies. Tax extra. Double seasoned beef compared to the Burrito Supreme.
Hey, you hear that? That's the sound of loose change in your pocket reminding you to buy a 99-cent medium fountain drink from Casey's. So the next time you hear this, you already know where to go. 99-cent medium fountain drinks. It's not crazy. It's Casey's.
When it comes to concrete repair, Everlevel has some serious game. Coach Greg McDermott here to coach you on why you should choose Everlevel Concrete Repair. They've got the fundamentals to fix your cracked and uneven concrete, and their products will give you the best defense against future damage. It's a fraction of the price compared to replacement, and their solutions come with a long-term transferable warranty. Working with Everlevel is a slam dunk. Call Everlevel Concrete Repair today for your free inspection.
At Cox Mobile, we know you're smart. You brush your teeth in the shower to save time, make coffee ice cubes for your cold brew, and wear goggles to cut onions. You also added Cox Mobile. So smart. Now you're running on the network with unbeatable 5G reliability and saving on your Cox internet. It's ingenious, just like you.
Aw, thanks.
Cox Mobile, the smart way to mobile. Cox postpaid internet required. Cox Mobile runs on the network with unbeatable 5G reliability as measured by Ookla LLC in the U.S. to H 2023. Other restrictions apply. Learn more at cox.com/mobile.
It's easy to see the common signs of transmission trouble.
If your engine revs before it falls into gear. If it seems to switch gears for no reason. So watch for the signs. Certified transmission. The job done right at the right price.
Email us on the Equitable Bank inbox with whatever is on your mind. Zone Inbox is brought to you by Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. You can get me, Gary, at 1620thezone.com. We want to hear from you on the Equitable Bank Zone Inbox.
Tickets for less. Best seats, best prices, no service fees. Shop ticketsforless.com. KOZN Bellevue, Omaha, Council Bluffs. This is 1620 The Zone.
The Omaha Scanner.
Oh, hello, Omaha Scanner.
Property damage, I-80 and ILQ exits. Car versus deer.
Oh.
Deer in traffic lanes, unknown status of said deer. You don't plan for the deer to come out in the middle of the city.
Not
Josh.
right there. Not right there.
No, not ready for the deer. The deer must have got very lost. Remember that one day we were all sitting right here during a morning crossover and the deer bolted across our parking lot?
I sure do.
Across Dodge Street?
I sure do.
It was very surprising.
It was.
So you're usually not ready for the deer when you're on I-80 and ILQ.
Also, is that property?
The deer, not the deer, the car.
Well, it's not car versus property.
It's car versus deer.
Okay.
Property damage.
Okay. I follow now. I'm sorry.
No, the deer is not the property of anybody except for the deer family. And I don't know how they view things like that.
And the family will seek vengeance.
Yeah. They'll just run into more traffic. Amazing Daniel writes in.
Hi, Amazing Daniel.
On YouTube. Baseball game on an aircraft carrier. Perfect. It worked so well the last time.
Do it.
Baseball games in football stadiums. Baseball games. I mean, we get creative on this thing.
It takes a creative mind to pull one of these things.
Maybe they could make it so there's only one person who's allowed to attend the game. There's just one guy.
He's starting the wave.
Yeah. There's a lot of options out there for Major League Baseball.
Mm-hmm.
Let's take a phone call here on the 42 Degrees of Source hotline. It's Random Mike. Hi, Mike. Good to hear from you.
Man, you guys, you're making me sorry I missed that thing on Fox.
Can you get that on YouTube?
I'm sure that they would. I'm sure that there is a full replay of the game somewhere out there. Yes.
Yeah.
But you're talking about the interviews they had with the celebrities.
Oh yeah, that's all out on social media. Like MLB on Fox put all those out, and yeah, there's good stuff there. And then of course the game, the stuff they did in the game too, that would be on YouTube.
Yeah, I'm going to have to catch part of that. When you talk about Barry Bonds, or who's the greatest living player, for years it was Joe DiMaggio.
Ooh. Yeah.
And that was like his introduction, the greatest living player. And he took a lot of pride in that. And this was, I don't know how long ago he died, but Willie Mays was still around, but it was Joe DiMaggio.
So Joe DiMaggio died in 1999.
Okay.
So what you're saying is he was the greatest living player at the same time that Willie Mays is the greatest living player. I don't know. We must not have had a consensus about this.
No, yeah, I think back then. So, like, when did Mays retire? I mean, it was
the 60s. Let's see.
There you go.
Let me.
So for
Willie Mays retired. His final year was with the Mets in 1973.
Okay, early 70s, right? Okay, so for well over 20 years, the guy that they called the great, I'm pretty sure I'm right about that, was Joe DiMaggio. Now, was he better than Willie Mays? I don't think so.
I don't either.
But he was another great all-around player. I think he was considered the greatest all-around player of his time. I think, as was Willie Mays. But yeah, it was Joe DiMaggio. Remember, he did those. Because you're younger than people think you are. So he was. He did that Mr. Coffee commercial, well, and he married Marilyn Monroe. He was quite the guy. But whenever I hear about Barry Bonds, I think one of my favorite sports stories is Barry Bonds at Arizona State. You know what I'm talking about?
Well, I mean, not specifically, but I'm sure there's some good stories from that.
You're talking about great college teams, or who's talking? It might have been on the morning show. They were talking about this museum or whatever, where they talk who's won the most college World Series. And when I was growing up, it was USC, but Arizona State. I mean, those are like the giants in college baseball, and a lot of great Arizona. I think Reggie Jackson was on one of them, and Barry Bonds, was one of their all-time great players. But he was kicked off the team. A bunch of them were suspended, I guess, for a curfew violation at Arizona State. And, the famous coach, I think his name was Brock. But Barry, being Barry, started bitching about being suspended. And all the others, took it like a man. And the coach was so disgusted, he just kicked him off the team, like permanently. And he was their best player on a great team, that had high aspirations. And then the next day, the coach says to the team, I'm going to let you guys vote on whether Barry gets back on the team. And they had a vote. And again, this was a team with high aspirations, and Barry was their best player on a good team.
Yep.
And they voted him to keep him off the team, not let him back on.
Yeah, there was so this was already counted in a Jeff Pearlman book. What was this? Probably the
friend of the show, Jeff Pearlman.
Friend of the show, Jeff Pearlman. That's right. Yeah, and there's even a story, an excerpt from it from ESPN.com that I'm reading in like HTML format right now. What a story.
And then when the coach saw the result of the vote, he had another team meeting. He said, "Guys, we're going to have another vote," because he wanted his best player back on the team. And I think Barry was allowed back on the team. But just a jerk. It was pretty universal. And yeah, the greatest player, probably the greatest player I've ever seen. Hell, as a Cub fan, he was a Cub killer. And this was before steroids. And he's one of those guys, and it was that way with Ryan Sandberg. You think, well, what don't they do great? And you know what it was with Barry? And this was before steroids. I think the one thing he didn't have was the huge arm. And I think that's why he was in left field.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. I mean, for sure. Never had that.
I mean, everything else was about as good as you get. And with Ryan Sandberg, I mean, he did everything great. But I did notice that when he rounded third base, when he really had to score, he kind of slowed down a little. It looks like he didn't do that, as well as the great players did. But so fantastic. But he's not in the Hall of Fame, right?
Barry? No.
Do you think he will be?
I think he should be. I don't know. It feels like we're a little too far down the road for this at this point for him to get in. I mean, something would have to change years and years later down the road for him to get some sort of an exemption, but he's not getting in from the voters. It doesn't seem like.
Do you remember Joe Morgan, while he was alive, kind of asking that these steroid guys not get in the Hall of Fame because he said the overwhelming majority of Hall of Famers, which he was one of the all-timers, did not want the steroid guys in the Hall of Fame. Am I right?
I believe that was Joe. I'm not 100% sure if that was Joe Morgan, but yes, people have said that. Well, yes.
But I think most of them felt that way. I wonder if they still do.
I wonder if they still do. I wonder if that will go away over time. By the way, Bonds is already off the ballot. He's already been retired, too long, so he can't get in the traditional way. So,
but there's still a way.
There's like the exemption that you can get by the writers later on, but that'll be down the road, I think.
Hey, one more thing. How about these Husker pitchers? And all of them are doing really well. Am I right?
What do you mean? In Major League Povich and Schwellenbach and who else we got out there? Bummer, Matt Waldron.
Yeah, especially Waldron. I heard their manager say that he's kind of the ace of the staff now.
He's knuckling everybody to death.
I think they're all keepers, and they were all sort of on the edge of being sent back or what. Am I right?
I wonder. I still wonder if most of those guys will make another appearance in the minor leagues before their careers are over. But they seem like they're going to be trusted major league players for years to come.
Did you notice with Povich, they took him out at after 4 2/3 innings, so he couldn't get the win even if it worked out that way.
Well, that's not. They just didn't want him to go through the lineup 3 times. So,
But no, it's great to see, and it sure makes it's fun to watch. Hey, take care, bud.
Thanks, Mike. Appreciate it. A lot of different places once again with Mike.
Always is.
So, when was Barry's last year on the ballot? I like how we're getting into a Barry Bonds conversation today, by the way.
I think America is having a Barry Bonds reckoning.
His 10th and final year on the Hall of Fame ballot was 2 ballots ago when he got as much. I didn't realize it got this high. He got 66%.
Oh,
you need 75 to get into the Hall of Fame. And basically that number had creeped up and up and up year after year after year. And then he was to the point where, if you could keep a guy on the ballot for 15 years, it felt like there'd be enough people who had softened on it or had joined the voting committee who would say, yeah, I'm good with this. Younger people who get votes tend to say, let the steroid guys in. That's kind of just how it works. Older guys, sorry, no offense to older guys, but they tend to gatekeep a little bit. I love gatekeeping things as well. In this case, I grew up with these guys, and they were the legends of the sport. And even if they did do steroids, that I think should be represented in the Hall of Fame, because I think that's a part of the game's history and a story that kind of needs to be told as well. But they didn't put them in. Maybe eventually they will. But I didn't realize it got that high 2 years ago, 66%. An obvious Hall of Famer and obviously one of the greatest players of all time. But how will he adjust to being the elder statesman of baseball is really interesting to me.
Yeah, are we gonna lean on him more?
I don't know. Can we just call Barry and ask him for his takes on things, because he might say some things?
Hey, will you show up at this World Series, or will you show up here?
Yeah, shake hands with somebody.
Yeah,
that does not seem like his style.
It doesn't. We have Jeter and A-Rod for that. We have Big Papi for that. I thought Dontrell Willis was really good last night too.
He's actually been pretty good on TV.
Yeah, he does MLB Network a lot.
There's from the Perlman story that Random Mike was referencing. Arizona State coach Jim Brock looked forward to Barry Bonds' sophomore season with mixed feelings. ASU's roster would be its most talented ever, yet Barry was a social leper. In the weeks before the start of the 83-84 academic year, Brock telephoned George Lopez, not that guy, and strongly suggested that he room with Barry. This wasn't a coach trying to forge relationships, but a response to a dilemma. No one wanted to live with him. As a freshman, Barry boarded with first baseman Reggie Mosley in an apartment in Orange Street. In the neighboring pad lived another 2 players, pitcher Jose Rodiles and third baseman Bert Martinez, who hailed from the nearby town of Chandler. Every week, Martinez's mother, Helen, would bring her son large bags filled with her homemade specialty, green chili. One day I come back from class, and the window to my apartment is cracked and there's a hole, says Martinez. He searched high and low but found nothing missing. He then opened the refrigerator. My mom's food was gone, he says, all of it. Martinez confronted Mosley, who ratted out Barry. Quote, he knew my mom brought this food for me, and here he is, driving a new Trans Am, cracking my window. He stole his roommate's food. He was an absolute menace, even in college, before he became a big timer. Awesome. That's our guy now. That's our new guy. That's our new best guy.
That's our elder statesman of the game.
Back after this on 1620 The Zone.
You get a lot of junk in your inbox. This one, not junk at all. 1620 The Email. Exclusive content, contests, other stuff probably. Subscribe today at 1620thezone.com. Your Omaha area forecast presented by Funplex Water Park and Rides from the KETV Newswatch 7 Weather Center on 1620 The Zone.
Summer heat is back as we close out the week. Friday, expect mostly sunny, hot, humid, and breezy conditions. South wind gusting up to 25 miles per hour. Expect highs around 90 with feels-like temperatures in the mid-90s. I'm meteorologist Sean Everson from KETV Newswatch 7.
I'm Dave Osted. And I'm Ryan Osted. Every golfer will get value from being custom fit. The truth is, the higher handicappers will get more value from being custom fit than the low handicappers.
It's changed so much since my dad started the business in 1963. We now have hundreds of thousands of dollars in technology, and we know exactly what the spin rate is, what your launch angle is. We encourage you to bring your current clubs in now, and we can compare it. And guys walk out of the store knowing with the purchase they just made, they're going to give them 21 more yards off the tee box. Play better, have fun, and shop Osted's.
Whether you own a local business or a global one, you know that these days, generating growth is a challenge. By teaming with Bank of America, you'll not just stay ahead of the curve, you'll move it. With access to experts, award-winning insights, and business solutions so powerful, you'll make every move matter, locally and globally. Visit bankofamerica.com/banking for business to learn more. What would you like the power to do? Copyright 2024 Bank of America N.A.
There's a new tomorrow on the other side of the horizon. There are promises to honor, work that needs to be done, friendships to enjoy, and people that count on each other. These are the things that tie our communities together. They always have, and they always will. Build your tomorrow with a bank you can rely on. Pinnacle Bank, the way banking should be. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
For the second year, the Nebraska Lottery's NASCAR Powerball Playoff promotion has roared into our state, and the excitement is throttling up. Until June 24th, buy a Powerball ticket with Power Play and Double Play. Enter the voucher number, and you could be one of 15 Nebraska winners of $1,000 and the chance to win a VIP trip to the NASCAR Cup Series Championship weekend, plus a shot at $1 million. Enter today. Powerball top prize odds 1 in 292 million.
If you need bold banners to boost your business, but you're on a budget, think Staples. Because now at Staples, you can save up to $50 on your print purchase. From posters and flyers to signs and menus, Staples can print anything you need to move your business forward. And with Staples Print Perfect Guarantee, it's done right or it's printed again free. Plus, same-day service is available on hundreds of items if you order by noon. Get it printed right at Staples. And now get up to $50 off your print purchase. N76, visit staples.com/print for details.
Getting quality employees to fill positions in your company is essential, but finding those people can be a major hassle, unless you use ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter makes finding quality people a breeze. And right now you can try it for free at ziprecruiter.com/radio. With ZipRecruiter, one click sends your job to hundreds of top job sites. But more than that, ZipRecruiter's advanced technology identifies the candidates with the skills you need, sends you a list of great matches to review, then actively invites them to apply for your job. And the results speak for themselves. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. That's right, the first day. Now you can focus on your business and let ZipRecruiter do the work finding the best people for you. See for yourself. Experience the ease, efficiency, and power of ZipRecruiter for free. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter.com/radio.
While offense in college baseball is up, offense in Major League Baseball is down, Josh.
Oh, no.
Offense is actually canceled in Major League Baseball. Have you heard this?
I've heard. I'm a Braves fan. I've heard.
Yes, you have. If you're a Mets fan right now, you're like, what are you talking about? We're up 3-0 on the Cubs. And that's enough to win the game because the Cubs don't score at all.
Top of the first.
We are on pace in Major League Baseball. Or I guess we'll take a blank look at the state of where we're at right now compared to maybe where it was last year. There's been 39,404 hits this year in Major League Baseball up to today. That's more than 1,400 fewer than last year. There's been 21,078 runs. That's over 1,300 fewer than last year. There's been 800 fewer home runs than last year at this moment. There's been 600 fewer doubles than last year at this moment. If we stay on this pace, we'd be headed toward the fewest doubles in a season before the 93 expansion. And that would be 2 expansions ago. The fewest home runs since 2015. And that was just before the baseball got changed. Noticeably livelier, I guess. We were on pace for the fewest hits per game in a full season since 1968. We are on pace for the lowest batting average in balls in play, 288, since 1992.
Connor, what does it mean?
It means a lot of things. Well, people are trying to figure out why. Why is this going to happen? Well, I got a couple more stats for you.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
Only 25 hitters in the sport are on pace to hit 30 home runs. As recently as 2019, there were 58 of them at this moment. The average lineup gets 8.1 hits per game. We've only seen 5 seasons worse than that in the modern era. That dates back to 1901.
Whoa.
And 4 of them were in 1906, 07, 08, and 09.
Oh.
The other was 1968. And so maybe it's just early. Or maybe...
I mean, it's the end of June.
That is a thought, Josh. That is a thought. Hitters have takes on this. Is it the technology? Christian Yelich blames technology. With all the analytics and high-speed cameras and the TrackMan data and all that stuff, you could tell as a pitcher if your pitches are good or bad, how they work, and which kind of pitches you should throw in the biggest spots. Does that seem like anything new? Not maybe to the reader, but to the hitters. They missed those days when hitting was about working their way into a hitter's count and waiting for the meatball that they knew was coming when a pitcher was desperate to get back into the count. What do they teach you in Little League, Josh, or in high school or middle school or whatever it is? They say,
stop picking up your first foot.
That, keep your back arm up, high on the ball.
Choke up.
But if you get a little bit more advanced, they'll tell you, hey, if you get to 2-0, probably, you're going to look in one very specific spot.
And if it's there?
And if it's there, you swing away. Well, they don't get those anymore because guys are throwing their sliders just as much as they're throwing their fastballs, and they're throwing their fork balls just as much as they're throwing everything else.
Now there's a splinker.
Yeah, there's a whole, they're making up pitches. That is one of the things that is happening here. Pitchers, and they use Seth Lugo as an example here. How many pitches can one man throw? Seth Lugo throws the following pitches. He's been tracked as throwing a 4-seam fastball, a 2-seam fastball, a cutter, a slider, a sweeper, a curve, a changeup, and a slurve.
That's 8.
That's 8 pitches. According to StatCast, Lugo only threw 5 pitches when he arrived at the big leagues with the Mets in 2016, added the cutter in 17, dropped the cutter, brought the cutter back, and now has added the sweeper and the slurve and all the other things.
How dare he learn things and try and better himself?
See, this is why it does feel like a little bit of sour grapes from hitters. It's like, hey, look, they got better.
You should
like
too.
Point blank period. Pitchers are better than they have ever been. Is it costing them their arms and their ligaments? Yes. But have pitchers, if we're doing pitchers versus hitters, have pitchers found a way to game the system enough to where they can throw at max rate, max spin rate? They're getting the ball to do ungodly things. They're smarter than they've ever been with the information that they have. And maybe the answer to the question is, Josh, like, that's it. Like, we have reached the final form of baseball, and pitchers are just better than hitters when they're both at their best. I find that hard to believe. I think there will be some sort of an adaptation, whether it's from hitters or, of course, as baseball has tended to gotten involved in these conversations, changes with the way the sport is played or the mechanisms that the sport uses to play it, like the baseball, like the bats, like the ballparks, like the whatever, the surrounding areas. Because there's always this constant reaction and overreaction to the results that we see in a given year. And so all these reasons put together, nobody's hitting doubles anymore, you know? I mean, there's a lot of stuff that goes into this, but right now in baseball, we are on pace to have the worst offensive season across the board in a very, very long time in the sport.
I would like to find some balance.
You would? I'm personally enjoying it. I like this baseball. See, but this is kind of my point. You're like, I don't really like this right now. You had high expectations for the Braves. They're kind of stinky right now. I'm enjoying this greatly. I don't need the Royals to, like, the Royals stay where they are all year long.
And you're good.
I'm good. I feel good about the way baseball looks right now.
You've got some pitchers. I've got
some of this.
Got a couple pitchers.
Some of this I don't really care so much. Like, I don't need 30 guys to hit 40 home runs in order for me to have fun during a baseball season. I kind of like the ebbs and flows. Like, I like to have a year where the pitchers are just absolutely wrecking everybody, And then we've gone through these ebbs and flows over the last, decade or so. There's been great hitter years, great pitcher years. They've changed the ball. They've changed the stuff in between. And it's, what it's led to, unfortunately, it's led to everybody getting gigantic contracts and overpaying either pitchers or hitters and then combining this thing all together. And then everybody just gets really angry after that because then they can't spend money and it leads to a really bad thing, which is people tanking again.
Oh, no, I don't want that. I don't want that.
That's what we don't want.
No.
That is what we don't want. So what now? Yelich continues.
Oh.
Offense is a huge part of the game. As a fan, you don't want to come to the game and just watch guys get mowed down for 9 straight innings. At the same time, I still think it's possible that you can play offense. It just might not be how it used to be. So is offense dead? Not quite, but here's our message for hitters everywhere. This is not from Yelich. This is from the story on theathletic.com or nytimes.com/athletic. Good luck. Good luck.
Good luck.
Good luck to hitters. People have been trying to figure this out. They can't quite get to the bottom of it. I think I did an okay job of explaining it. Like, pitchers are just better right now. That's kind of the story. So it's up to the hitters to sort of adjust. But like they said, good luck.
I'm sure that's good enough for Christian Yelich. Well, he said good luck.
Maybe steroids is the answer.
Ooh. These darn pitchers are just so good. I need to get stronger and bigger.
Mm-hmm. Well, we see it in college baseball. The strongest, biggest teams are right there in the final.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
By the way, Josh, who's going to win this weekend? Or will we know who's going to win this weekend before we get out of here?
I'm going to say this is a 3-gamer.
Ooh!
I know nobody wants to hear that around these parts. I think we're in line for a good series.
Okay. What if I told you we got 2 good games, but it's Tennessee in 2?
I mean, I'd be okay with that. I picked Texas A&M at the start of the College World Series over Tennessee
because you're smart.
So I'd like to be very right. So gig 'em, baby.
You're gigging them.
Mm-hmm.
So you say Texas A&M in 3?
Yes.
What if I told you we get 2 good games, but Tennessee in 2.
I would be okay with that as long as the games are good, entertaining game. I don't want the 24-6 game like we had last year.
No, we don't want that.
Get that the hell out of here.
I thought there was some real fun a couple years ago when Ole Miss dogpiled during the daytime.
A daytime dogpile.
Yeah, that was kind of fun, wasn't it?
Sure.
Now, it was fun last year when LSU dogpiled during the nighttime on Monday night. But I'm into this. Like this, we got an ABC situation.
Yeah, we're going to have presumably a record high rating for Game 2 of the championship series.
Anna Broat writes in,
"Hi, Anna Broat.
This is too much baseball. Let's stop now. Please make it stop." Deal. The segment has now ended. Basically, you may go in peace.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's pretty much over. But a quick reminder that we'll be out at the Omaha Baseball Village before the game tomorrow and before the game on Sunday.
Come say hi. We'll have plenty of things you can have and take home.
Absolutely. And scan those codes.
Scan the codes. Max home a bag.
Half off hats and shirts and things of that nature in and around the village.
Mm-hmm.
The Villaggio, as I like to call it these days.
Villaggio. Nice.
Yeah, it's the nicest place there.
I like that. I believe the zoo is going to come talk to us.
Let's go
on Saturday as well.
All right. Very good. So expect that this weekend. And then we will return either somewhat normal or all the way normal on Monday. We'll be back. Round at the show. Poll questions I with watch next on 1620 The Zone.
The Connor Happer Show. Follow us on Twitter @Happer Show for all the latest news and views. We may even say something interesting once in a while.
Unlikely.
Really, guys? Omaha's most listened to all sports radio station. Again and again and again. 1620 The Zone.
Host is roasting every morning. Host is roasting every day.
How does Host Coffee provide the best coffee for your workplace? By finding the richest and most robust coffee beans from all around the world and bringing them to our Nebraska roastery, where your coffee is roasted fresh and delivered straight to you.
Proudly serving Nebraska since 1972. Host Coffee is always roasting something good for you.
Don't answer that. It's another roof gypsy ringing the doorbell. They are attempting to capitalize on the misfortune that Mother Nature has thrown your way. Make the right call to a trusted company that has faithfully served the Omaha area for over 35 years. The Rooferees at John Higgins Weather Guard.
For roofing, siding, and gutter repair, make the right call to John Higgins Weather Guard.
John Higgins Weather Guard, the home of the Rooferees. Make the right call.
At Cox Mobile, we know you're smart. You brush your teeth in the shower to save time, make coffee ice cubes for your cold brew, and wear goggles to cut onions. You also added Cox Mobile. So smart. Now you're running on the network with unbeatable 5G reliability and saving on your Cox internet. It's ingenious, just like you.
Aw, thanks.
Cox Mobile, the smart way to mobile. Cox postpaid internet required. Cox Mobile runs on the network with unbeatable 5G reliability as measured by Ookla LLC in the U.S. through H 2023. Other restrictions apply. Learn more at cox.com/mobile.
Watching a ball game at Oscar's Pizza and Sports Grill is pretty awesome. Oscar's offers the MLB package, so your team is always on their upgraded audio-video system, and nothing is better than watching the game with a cold frosty one, Oscar's Pizza, or award-winning char-buffed wings. And with daily lunch and dinner specials, it's really a no-brainer. So get ready to watch your favorite team play ball at Oscar's Pizza and Sports Grill, 173rd and West Center Road, and takeout at 162nd and Maple.
Introducing Modern Real Estate, the game changer in Nebraska's property market. With a competitive 2% commission rate, we're making buying, selling, and investing more affordable and transparent than ever. Our experienced agents blend local expertise with cutting-edge technology to provide top-notch personalized service to all clients. Don't settle for less when you can save big without compromising. Visit modernrealestateco.com and experience the future of real estate today. Modern Real Estate, redefining the way you do real estate.
Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. EquitableOnline.com.
All right, poll questions at Happer Show on the J-Tech Construction Zone Twitter feed. Just 2 today. Was there any in the afternoon yesterday?
Yeah, we had one from the crossover yesterday.
Was it a big JoJo moment? Yeah, in 2006 when RV came out, it was a huge JoJo moment.
That's right. I knew it was a movie of some kind. Yeah.
60% said yes.
It was a big moment for JoJo. It was a real vehicle.
Thank you. Nobody else agreed with me in the room at the time.
I was with you.
Are there always nuggets? Nuggets or morsels, BC says. Are there always nuggets? Yeah, there's always nuggets.
Yeah, I say so.
87% say yes. And finally, is America having a Barry Bonds reckoning today? Kind of.
I think a lot of people are having a lot of conversations about Barry.
Just evaluating what they feel about Barry Bonds.
Maybe those feelings have changed.
59% say no.
Oh,
they're not having a Barry Bonds reckoning. Still early there, though.
Yeah. Did we already have it? Maybe
get those votes in at Happer Show. Very important. Those are the polls. Josh, what are we watching this weekend?
I have checked and double checked.
It's Friday.
The Stanley Cup Game 6 is tonight.
That's right.
I have checked.
Yep.
Funny thing happened in the Stanley Cup Finals while we were at the Village Bellagio.
Don't let the Oilers win tonight.
That's right.
Don't let the Oilers get hot.
Edmonton hosts Florida. Florida leads 3-2. They were up 3-0. Oh boy, we're gonna have a reckoning if Florida loses this game.
How big of a fart bomb would it be though if the Panthers just won tonight and it was over?
It would be really anticlimactic.
Everyone's rooting for the Oilers at this point,
and
just to do the most hilarious thing possible.
Didn't somebody win the Stanley Cup in Vancouver? Like the visiting team won in Vancouver, and they rioted in Vancouver that night.
Yikes!
So
sounds right.
Watch out, Edmonton. 7
o'clock hockey up there
tonight on ABC. Baseball this weekend. Diamondbacks and the Phillies. 5:40 tonight on Apple, 10:30 Sunday morning on Roku.
America's team.
That's right. Braves and Yankees in Yankee Stadium, 6 o'clock tonight on Apple TV, 6 o'clock tomorrow on Big Fox. Mariners and the Fish in Miami, 6 o'clock tonight on ESPN+. Mets and the Cubs, they got one game going on right now on MLB Network, 1:30 tomorrow on FS1, 6 o'clock Sunday night on ESPN. College World Series, of course.
That's gone.
Oh, yeah?
4-1 Mets.
Oh, 4-1 Mets. Wow. Tennessee and Texas A&M. Game 1 tomorrow on ESPN. Game 2 Sunday on ABC. Tennessee won the only meeting this season between these two teams. 7-4 in the SEC tournament.
Nice. Good stat, Josh.
In Hoover. WNBA. Caitlin Clark plays in Atlanta tonight, 6:30 on Ion.
Ah, crap. We forgot to get to the Caitlin Clark thing
I
again.
know. Now, Monday will be ripe for Caitlin Clark takes because she plays Angel Reese yet again Sunday in Chicago, 3 o'clock on ESPN.
Yeah, okay, we'll definitely do it then.
Yeah, plenty of time on Monday. The Olympic swim trials, 7 o'clock tonight, tomorrow, and Sunday on NBC, followed each night by the track and field trials, Connor.
Oh,
the superior trials in your eyes.
I love track.
On NBC. 9 Huskers competing in Eugene this weekend. Good luck to all of them. Peacock premieres Kung Fu Panda 4. Poe, voiced by Jack Black, teams up with a thief, voiced by Aquafina, to uncover the truth about recent sightings of villains he defeated in the past.
Poe?
Poe.
Like the Teletubby?
I guess, yes, they would have the same name. Yes.
Is there a Tinky Winky?
I don't think there's a Tinky Winky in Kung Fu Panda or a baby's face inside the sun. Finally this weekend on Max, Taylor Swift versus Scooter Braun, The Feud. 2-episode docuseries explores the controversial $300 million sale of the pop star's master recordings to the music industry mogul and the wild feud that followed.
Yeah, I'm sure they got a lot of good people to talk for this.
A lot of access from Taylor Swift and Scooter Braun, I'm sure.
Two very famously accessible people.
Scooter Braun retired earlier this week. Gee, I wonder if he knew what was coming.
Consider the source on some of these things. That's what I would ask people to do.
Absolutely. Good take.
Thank you, Josh.
Thank you, Connor.
That's what we're watching this weekend, and that is the show. If you missed anything, you can find it all at 1620thezone.com. Remember, back at the Omaha Baseball Village tomorrow, the Bellagio. Come hang out with us before the game Saturday, before the game Sunday, and potentially before the game Monday. But we'll cross that bridge when we get there.
That's right.
The crossover is next.
Live from the Host Coffee Studio, this is 1620 The Zone.
Hey Omaha families, there is such a thing as a free lunch. The Salvation Army's Kids Cruisin' Kitchen is our mobile summer meals program, where our food trucks roll out to locations around town to offer free lunches to kids up to 18 years of age. Kids Cruisin' Kitchen operates weekdays, with the exception of holidays, throughout the summer. Again, this program serves free meals to kids at various locations around Omaha. Meals must be eaten on site. Find out where you can get free lunches for your kids this summer. Just go to salarmyomaha.org. That's salarmyomaha.org.
Certified Transmission built its reputation on the job done right.
It means hard work, honesty, and integrity.
And together, we ensure our customers leave satisfied and worry-free.
Certified Transmission, the job done right at the right price.
Because you want to hear bacon and eggs on your outdoor griddle, not the scraping of rust. Introducing the Weber Slate Rust-Resistant Griddle. Stays ready, not rusty, with a carbon steel cooktop, pre-seasoned and ready to cook on right out of the box. The Weber Slate heats evenly edge to edge up to 500 degrees. All you'll hear is the gasp of amazement from friends and family when you serve the food. Cooking with the Weber Slate Rust-Resistant Griddle just sounds delicious and tastes even better.
Shop Sid Dillon Chevrolet, Nebraska's #1 volume Chevy dealer group. Visit us in Blair, Crete, Fremont, or Wahoo, or shop at SidDillonChevy.com. Together, let's drive.
You are what drives us, Sid Dillon.
Are you the decision maker in your company? Consider this. For the first time in decades, there's a better option for a corporate card and spend management platform. Meet Ramp, the only corporate card and spend management system designed to help you spend less money so you can make more. Most corporate credit cards offer points as incentives, but those points amount to less than their worth in real cash value. Ramp's business cards offer you cash back, real money in your pocket. Plus, you control who spends what with each vendor. And Ramp software collects and verifies receipts automatically, which means you'll stop wasteful spending and close your books in hours instead of days. Businesses that use Ramp add up to 5% to their bottom line the first year. If you're a decision maker, adding Ramp could be one of the best decisions you've ever made.